Afternoon to you. Welcome on into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free to download Odyssey, iHeartRadio, TuneIn apps, and our stream right now live on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, also on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday. It doesn't feel like a Tuesday because we have Bills news today. We are just a little over 48 hours away from kickoff.
I know, short week. Short week. Throws all of our routines out the window.
It sets up, if the Bills get this done, the most relaxing football weekend, right? Because you're heading into a holiday week. You can see if the Chiefs go below 500. All the fun stuff is on the back end. Can the Bills take care of business? There's a roster move the Bills made today we'll get to. The line move today, there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. It's in favor of Buffalo. And another jam-packed show here today, as we normally would on a Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesdays are crazy here in the Sports Bar. We have lots of guests, and we're going to get you informed on everything happening in Orchard Park. The latest from One Bills Drive with Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. He stops by the Sports Bar here in about 25 minutes or so.
Yeah, so let's get his thoughts here on, do we see Keon Coleman? What has to happen with the Bills' defense and their offense? Can the Bills keep this rolling? Again, the Texans, the opponent coming up Thursday night. Matt Perino Shop Podcast, and also the Syracuse Post-Standard coming up at the bottom of this hour.
Rochester Amherst get on the road again tomorrow, and we will have a preview of this weekend's action. Lehigh Valley, the opponent, coming up tomorrow night. Then they return home Friday night to take on Bridgeport. Head coach Mike Leone stopping by the Sports Bar.
Yeah,
4:25.
Yeah, if you're looking ahead at the Amherst schedule, it's Friday against Bridgeport, but then they're also home the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the Friday after. So this is a nice stretch. Can the Amherst, finish this off nicely at Lehigh Valley coming up Wednesday? This road trip picking up the first two in Connecticut over the weekend. Mike Leone at the bottom of the next hour.
And also some fantasy football as we're getting ready for Week 12. Waiver wire pickups, fantasy football news. Michael F. Florio from NFL Network stopping by before we get to happy hour at 5 o'clock. And I was telling Gino right before we both should be embarrassed. My 21-year-old daughter, rookie fantasy football GM, beat both of us in our league this year. She's popping off. She's doing the Ric Flair strut all over the house. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, she should. I will say this, though. We have a quarterbacking problem in the league. Can we just admit this? Watching Geno Smith last night, that was gross. And that's not the only gross quarterback. When we get to Survive in Advance coming up at 4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we've got that. Danger is still alive, and he will guide you on to Week 13 as he'll pick your Week 12 winner.
We will pick. We collaborate. It's a team effort.
Yeah, I'm along for the ride. I'm just kind of watching. Hands tied to the chair. Can't do anything.
You're not being held hostage, Gino. We're a part of this. We're in this together.
Well, the point is, you should be able to identify these bad teams right now. Teams that are going to mail it in shortly. Teams that have bad quarterbacking play,
bad defenses.
Yeah, it's coming into focus. Who's really kind of a mess? Danger will have the winner. We will have the winner.
That's right.
At 4 o'clock.
You can join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Our phone lines are open this afternoon at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
Yeah, as today, a Tuesday, we did have Sean McDermott speaking because, honestly, they get on a plane tomorrow, Danger. So today being the one and only practice day. Yesterday they called it a walkthrough, barely if that. And McDermott, do we want to play McFly's right?
Oh, it would be a special Tuesday edition?
Tuesday edition of McFly's here.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we did learn that with the initial report, oh my gosh, C.J. Stroud is going to be practicing. Well, yeah, you have to go through a few practices to get cleared from concussion protocol. I'm thinking, well,
all right, just because he returned to practice today, he's out for Thursday.
He is definitely out. So we're going to see the neck, Davis Mills in at quarterback.
Yeah. You can't lose to Davis Mills. I mean, come on. I know that Houston's defense is really, really good, but you can't go to Houston and lose to Davis Mills. Cannot happen. So we'll kind of look at. Let's see here. We've got. I've got McDermott. I've got a couple of things from McDermott. I've got McDermott on Keon Coleman and Gabe Davis, but I've also got McDermott on, and I'm saying this is a lie right out of the gate, the benefits of Thursday night football. What
get to
benefit?
sleep in Saturday?
Yeah.
What? If you're telling truths, well, the thing is, like, I don't have to work this upcoming weekend if we crammed everything in. I get to, get my drink on Friday night. Like what?
21 seconds on Thursday night football benefits. Sean McDermott.
Yeah, I
Five.
think there is. We love to compete. You get to play within 4 days instead of waiting for 7 days. Our fans get to watch us middle of the week. They got something to look forward to. But it's hard on the players. It definitely is. And getting their fresh legs back underneath of them and everything, and coming off of a game. So there's certainly challenges on the front end, and there's certainly some kind of rest on the back end for the guys, which is important.
Oh,
I got one.
Not sharp here, Danger. Got to pick this up.
32 seconds on Keon Coleman and Gabe Davis.
7. Anything he says on Keon Coleman
is a lie.
is considered a lie. 7.
Right now it's called a day and a half since game day, so I'm aware of how he handled it, publicly, and I appreciate that, respect that, and now it's, again, one day at a time and earning the trust and respect of the teammates, and that takes time. But each day that goes by, you check them off as wins, the trust builds. So that's the important piece of it.
Is there an expectation Gabe would be elevated for Thursday, given how he performed last night?
We'll see. Again, similar to Keon, one day at a time. We'll see how it all comes together come Thursday night.
6.
Yeah, pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah. I think Gabe's out there on Thursday night. I think you don't have a choice. You got some injured wide receivers. You got Curtis Samuel missing. You got, I think you're going to need your guys.
Well, so the news today is that, look who's back on the practice squad, Brandon Codrington.
Okay.
So in theory, you could elevate Davis one more time, and you could elevate Codrington. Codrington would take the spot of Hardman.
Mm-hmm.
Davis would take the spot of Keon Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
So
of Curtis Samuel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all right.
Yeah,
so
Samuel wasn't practicing today. I think Coleman's out there. I don't know how often we see. Well, we'll get Perino's take on it, too. Also spotted today at Bill's practice. Not practicing, obviously, but at least Ed Oliver was seen with his teammates. Ed Oliver and his robotic arm showing up at the field house there at One Bill's Drive, hanging out with his teammates. So in good spirits, apparently.
it's good. I mean, you want to be around the guys there. I mean, can they get him back in January? That would be a lot to ask. A lot.
Yeah, in time for the postseason, I think we would all take that. We would sign up for that. But at least he's in good spirits. The other thing that speaking of guys coming off of nasty injuries and surgeries, I mean, Cam Scatabo is getting crushed today in New York City for making an appearance on Monday Night Raw or whatever wrestling show.
Yeah, it's some. I'm getting way over my skis here, but some of the performers, the wrestlers, are going over to the crowd, and look who's in the crowd. It's Cam Scatabo, and hey, there's this little kerfuffle going on, and I don't know. People are upset. Why? Because he's supposed to be home resting his leg? Is that it?
The look is not a good look. Like, you just had a major surgery, and it's not a good look that you're there pushing wrestlers around. But, if you're Cam Scatabo, I imagine this is probably a dream come true, right? This is probably like, man, I always wanted to do this, and now I have the chance to do it. But, I hear a lot of people saying that's not a good – the optics of that, you might as well be the Jets with how bad that looks if you're a Giants fan. Like, what are the Giants doing letting him do that? Not a great look. I don't have a problem with it, but
the Giants are the team, Danger, that feels like we were robbed of this year. Scattaboo and Malik Neighbors, and you had a bad coach.
Yeah.
Like,
you get the right coach in there,
and you get those guys together.
That could be fun. And Jackson Dart, I think, is the real deal. I think if Jackson Dart learns how to protect himself, doesn't take any more hits to the head, way too many hits to the head for a rookie. I think they have something. But we like Brian Daboll, and he might be a great offensive coordinator, but as far as head coaching goes, no, it wasn't really in the cards for Brian Daboll in New York. Last night's game was nearly unwatchable. It was just so gross. The Raiders are disgusting.
Can I, if you had to say which coach is living on a reputation well beyond his years, it has been over a decade since Chip Kelly was at Oregon.
Oh, wow.
And Chip Kelly, who went to Philadelphia and that burned out really quick because he had no idea how to manage today's guys. And then after Philadelphia, it was the first year we were on the air, he lands in 1 year for the 49ers. And they realize, oh, this ain't it either.
Yeah.
He's been failing down. And to watch that, okay, you don't have to know anything about Las Vegas Raider football to know, here's the personnel, what would you do? Yeah, you know what? Run the ball with Ashton Genty. They didn't even try last night to run the ball. Granted, there were a bunch of checkdowns that sort of work out, passing plays, but putting the ball in Geno Smith's hands, what are you doing?
I wonder, is Tom Brady just showing up for the photo op, or does he actually get a say? Does he get to say something as a minority partner in this team? Because everybody was kind of led to believe, oh, Tom Brady can say this or Tom Brady can do this, and he was there last night, but do we know how involved, if he's involved at all, Tom Brady is? Because I would tap into that resource if I was Mark Davis. I would ask him, what would you do? Who do you like? What I don't know that any of that is happening.
To me, it looks like, hey, this ain't it. Let's tank. Honestly, that's kind of what it looks like. And if you're a Raider fan, maybe that's not the worst plan in the world.
Right. Yeah, that was gross. And the Cowboys, one of the things I saw cross my feed are the Eagles on upset alert I'm like, come on, guys. I know that there's not a lot of margin for error for the Cowboys for the rest of the season, and if they're going to do anything, they have to play desperate. I don't know if they're beating the Eagles. The Eagles continue to just win ugly games, and they can muck things up for the Cowboys. I think with relative ease, that defense is still pretty good in Philadelphia. Certainly better than what we saw last night out of the Raiders. So it's the Cowboys and a laugher last night before they head to Philadelphia.
Yeah, Dallas at 4-5-1, and I'm not buying into, well, Jerry knew what he was doing all along there, flipping the defensive line. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Well, you were right, though, about the quarterback play in the NFL. I mean, I think this is why you can't have a separate league have any sort of success, because there's just not enough competent quarterbacks. There aren't enough competent quarterbacks to fill one league, let alone multiple leagues, unless you want to truly say it's minor league football. And that's what college football is. Mm-hmm. You watch college football and you realize, okay, some of these quarterbacks are never going to go pro. There's just not enough. It's too challenging a position to play. And it kind of, once again, shines a light on how fortunate we are to be able to watch Josh Allen play, because you could argue he is right now the best quarterback, the best football player on the planet.
That's why a team that has an 8-game winning streak, and no, I'm not talking about New England, Denver at 9-2. Denver right now top seed in the AFC, but then we're looking at it no, that maybe Bo Nix here down the line, but Bo Nix in year 2, that I think they're winning not because of him. It's that question. That you
I always used to ask, if you're a quarterback in the NFL, can your team win with you or because of you? And Denver is showing, because they have a good defense, they can win with Bo Nix. I don't know that they're winning because of Bo Nix. Now, I want to say there's a stat out there that Bo Nix has orchestrated a bunch of fourth-quarter comebacks. So there's something to that. But, if you're playing at a high level, fourth-quarter comebacks, I mean, you don't need the fourth-quarter comeback because you're efficient. And your defense is good enough to, mask some of your deficiencies. But the Bills sitting with the top wild card spot right now, and lots of football left to be played. Everything all in the open, including that 1 seed that Denver currently holds, including the division. I mean, there's a lot of expectation here with Bills fans. So much so that Derek the Pizza Dude, and I had a couple of people send this to me. Somebody sent it to me on X as well. This T-Bone sent it to me on X. This meme that's going around from The Office. It's two guys, yeah. The Bears and the Bills both at 7-3, and a grumpy face for the Bills versus the happy face for the Bears. And this is kind of what we've been talking about all season with this team. The expectations being so high makes you question how good they are, even though they're 7-3. Like, how good are they? Why would they have a stumble in Miami? This is the same story every year. We forget that year after year we go on this roller coaster ride, and every season has its ups, its downs, its twists, and its turns. But you're always right around this spot with the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I think, Danger, up until this point, who was the focal point of the Buffalo Bills offense? It was James Cook. James Cook, one of the best running backs, you could say. Best running back in the AFC, certainly, through the first half of the year. But in this day and age, is that really what's going to win you football games? If you take away the run, if teams commit to it, it was let's recalibrate, let's change out the personnel. Just to hear, Dan Orlovsky today break it down on One Bills Live, like, hey, play action on first down. What a concept there for the Buffalo Bills. Let's open this up. Let's have Josh be Josh. And sure, that might mean Josh is going to try to do something silly like a lateral that he shouldn't try, but he can do other things that other quarterbacks in this league simply cannot do. So I'm willing to kind of, do the ride or die thing here with Josh Allen. That's kind of where I'm at right now with this Buffalo Bills team.
We also got word today that Khalil Shakir, who didn't participate in yesterday's simulated practice or was part of the estimated injury report for a personal day, was back today from what we understand as well. So just some different news and notes from around the Bills practice today. And, of course, we'll have Matt Perino on with us here in a couple minutes to give us all of the latest out of Orchard Park.
Do we give 30 seconds to the Sabres that won 5-1? Or is that the quota today?
I think yeah. I think you mentioned 5-1. I didn't expect them to beat Edmonton 5-1, but they're playing at home. They're playing well. I need to see more. I'm not willing to be like, they're back. Did you see the Edmonton? I need to see more.
No, it's long way to go. But that was Edmonton. That was a team that's reached the Cup final last year. That was an Edmonton team that looked like, okay, it's Monday night in Buffalo. Everybody ready? Oh, it's the long season.
Tage Thompson was playing physical. He looked inspired last night. But I really, and having Darlene back, I'm sure was a bit of a boost. But I think we just need to see more. I'm not going to get excited about the Sabres, but a nice win last night on home ice against the defending Western Conference champion.
The Amherst outscoring the Oilers. Nora Ostlund, 2 goals last night. So
the Buffalo Amherst getting after it.
Yeah.
It's great to see the kids up and making plays and doing stuff. I still think this goaltending logjam that they have is problematic. I'm wondering what the end result of this is. These 6 goaltenders between the two rosters and what it all leads to for Kevin Adams. And for Devin Levi. If we know that there's been a request to get moved and Levi's waiting for his time to get back to the NHL.
Well, that's the curious thing here. I can understand wanting organizational depth, but shouldn't this year be the Devin, you simply don't belong in the AHL? We were close to that last year. I said it was as much after the Syracuse series. He was fantastic. And then that weird 2-week layoff, almost 2 weeks, that you had. And I think that hurt him and that hurt the Amherst. They end up losing to Laval. Certainly can't make an excuse, but you also have to acknowledge that was a factor. And then we get to this year, and it's been not anything close to it. Sure, he's had some good games. He picked up the win in Bridgeport, but we'll see who gets the call here tomorrow night, Lehigh Valley. We'll talk to Mike Leone next hour.
All right, let's get to the Bills and today's practice as they get ready for Houston. Their lone practice, their practice today in indoors, as NRG Stadium will have the roof closed on Thursday night. Matt Perino covering the team for the Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout Podcast. Our guest next on The Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports
Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is out against the Buffalo Bills. He will not be cleared in time for this game, so it'll be Davis Mills getting the start under center against the Bills this Thursday night. Bills head coach Sean McDermott has respect for the Houston defense.
Very talented. They put together a good defense with, different spots, critical positions, as we talk about position value, that, the guys are playing well for him. And D'Amico knows defense and got a lot of respect for him as a football coach. And he's had a good defense there for, just about every year he's been there.
The Bills bringing back punt returner Brandon Codrington to the practice squad today. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard of the Shout podcast, will join us next here in the Sports Bar. RIT hockey tonight playing at Niagara. The Tigers have won 9 straight. The Hammers look for their 3rd straight road win tomorrow night when they play at Lehigh Valley. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Bills return to the practice field today as they prepare for a Thursday night matchup in Houston against the Texans, as we do every week at this time. We welcome in Matt Perino from the Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout podcast. Today's practice a little spirited and lively when you see Ed Oliver make an appearance. Matt, it looked like he was in good spirits around his teammates.
Yeah, I think he probably, we didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I think is trying to sell everybody on the hope that he can return at some point this season. I think that, having the surgery, being able to move his arm the way that he is, I think there's some folks on social media that seem to follow the medical trends that aren't as bullish on it as maybe Ed is. But, I mean, that hope as you progress through this season with the opportunity that I think is there for this year's Bills team in a much weaker AFC conference, to be able to potentially add Ed Oliver for a playoff run, I think is a nice dangling carrot here as the schedule goes on.
Matt, we've heard a lot of things said, written about Keon Coleman, and Coleman was there in the tunnel, and heard from Deion Dawkins. I'm curious to get your thoughts on where does the story go from here? The fact that the Bills are down a couple receivers, we think, heading into this game. Does Coleman get a chance, or might he just be dressed and maybe not get as much? Where does the Coleman story go for him from here, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that it is super interesting, as only the NFL provides the level of drama that comes from something like this. It is going to be something that we monitor over the next day until the elevations are announced. Gabe Davis played his first football game in a year on Sunday, and for them to potentially ask him to turn around and play another one on the road against a really good defense, that might be a tall task. So I think that puts Keon at least in a spot to potentially be active, because without Samuel, without Hardman, you figure they can activate Elijah Moore, but that only gives them 4 wide receivers depending on what they do with Gabe Davis. And I thought today's comments from Sean McDermott were pretty clear that there's still work to be done on Keon's part to be able to regain the kind of trust that maybe was lost over the course of the last 5 days. If this was the first instance, sure, but to have an instance like this less than 2 months from the last one, there's obviously something missing here in terms of understanding responsibility, understanding what it means to be on time. And I thought Deion's comments after the game were also very clear in that, he's got to grow up, and he's got to show that he's grown up. And so I don't know if you can do that in 4 days, but they might be in a situation where they need him. So maybe an opportunity for him to go a little bit above and beyond. It's interesting, last week on Thursday, I saw him about 10 or 15 minutes after the Bills came off the practice field. He was walking back in with Josh Allen. So it looked like they were doing some extra work out of practice. And then obviously he's late for the meeting on Friday. There's a lot of moving parts here with him, and this is all the while still a player that they spent a second-round draft pick that they probably want to figure out a way to make this work moving forward. But if they can't figure that out over the next couple of weeks and months, that's going to make his future here very much up and down.
Matt, when you compare the talent of Keon Coleman versus Gabe Davis, does one player have an advantage over the other?
Yeah, Gabe, because he's got the history with the quarterback. I mean, he's got the 27 career touchdowns with Josh Allen, and I don't know we've ever felt that there was a consistent chemistry between Keon and Josh. And there's a lot of evaluators that would suggest that what Keon does well isn't something that Josh necessarily feels comfortable leaning into, like, throwing up those 50-50 balls, and he'll force balls in at times. But in terms of where Josh has been so good over the years is not really indicative of how Keon wins. And the Bills have either shown an unwillingness or an inability to diversify Keon's portfolio. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of action over the middle. It doesn't feel like they're very willing to put him in the slot and try some different ideas. And you wonder, is that on their side, or is that an inability to do it on Keon's side? Those are questions that I don't necessarily know if we can get answers. I don't know if anybody would talk openly about that at this point, but they have to try some different things when he does get back, because as we saw in that Miami game, I know that the touchdown is the lasting memory. There was a lot of blah and a lot of bad in that game from Keon Coleman in this passing game in general, and I think it was quite a statement to go the next week, have him removed from the situation at a practice squad receiver and a receiver off the street, off the couch, and you go out and you go for over 300 yards and 44 points.
Yeah, so Matt, sticking with that, and you mentioned Keon Coleman being a reason, but going from, hey, you're playing this team without their best, they just traded away their best defensive player, their GM gets fired, a lot not to play for, and Bill's offense looked as static as we've seen. And then you come back to Buffalo and voila, here's the offense that you think could win a Super Bowl. So my question is, and there's no easy answer to this, but I'm so curious what offense is going to show up in Houston on Thursday night, because this isn't the Miami defense you're getting. You're getting an upgrade here in facing this Houston defense.
Yeah, and they're good no matter what, but they got a ton of guys on the injury report. They're banged up. The Bills are banged up too. I still think this could be a really big game for Josh Allen. He's not played historically well in Houston, and I think one of those things that he's found a way to do over time, like remember early on when it was the Jets that were the issue every time that he played against them, and the Patriots in 2018 and 2019, and eventually the more and more he played them, the more he started to break through. And I wonder if this isn't a game where Josh Allen has a statement game against a defense that has historically given him fits. Even last year, I think was the last year it was in Houston. I think it was 2 years ago was the one game of the four that he's played in Buffalo. He's never won in this building. So I think it's a great question. What offense is going to show up? Are they able to run the ball? Because I think James Cook was able to have some success against Houston last year. They've been really good against the run this season. The Bills haven't run it well the last 2 weeks. So there's a lot of questions going into this game. But I also think, you're facing Davis Mills. I think the last time the Bills faced him, he threw like 4 interceptions or something crazy like that. So, I mean, this is one of those games where you're supposed to go on the road and win convincingly.
I think to myself that Tampa maybe was forcing, Josh Allen to throw and we're dedicated defensively to stopping James Cook and stopping the Bills' run game. But then to see the Bills kind of adjust and throw it to Cook and Ty Johnson out of the backfield, something we haven't seen a lot of this year. Can we expect more of that as teams try to clamp down on the Bills' running game?
Yeah, I mean, really, we've talked about this since going back to training camp. I don't know why James Cook, especially in games when teams take him away because of how they're defending the run, why the Bills wouldn't look to get creative with how they get him the ball in his hands in the passing game. And so I think that was great. I think Ty Johnson having his really big breakout performance of the season comes at a really good time if they can tap into what they were able to do a year ago with him. And I know Ray Davis, he did it in the return game, But remember last year, I mean, he had a couple of games where it wasn't a huge workload or anything, but he had some really nice runs. I remember like a 25-yard touchdown in November or December. I can't remember which one it was, where he kind of ran down the right side. And, he offered a lot of juice. And if they can get all three of those guys going, and Brady and Josh Allen both talked about how much different of an offense they are when those three guys are going well, that to me changes the math for how you have to defend this team. And, I think Tyrell Shavers, I know you asked about Cook, but I think Tyrell Shavers is quietly morphing into this year's version of Mac Hollins.
I was just going to ask you about that. Yep.
He feels like a guy. There's a clip, I think it was Dan Fates in Rochester who put out the clip of him after a first down. I don't even think it was his play, but he comes like, strutting off the sideline and he's dancing and doing like a first down motion. And he's not the outgoing kind of guy that Mac Hollins was, but he has an energy and a quiet confidence that he brings this offense that I just think is wild considering his story.
Well,
and go ahead.
I was going to ask, I mean, if we're talking about Shavers and comparing him to Hollins, kind of the same way I was asking you about Gabe Davis and Keon Coleman. If Shavers is this year's Mac Hollins and you have the two, evaluate which player has more talent. I mean, we know Hollins was a character, and he had, a chemistry with Josh Allen in a short amount of time. He led the team with receiving touchdowns. Can you expect Shavers to kind of step into that role? Because it felt like that was a pretty important part of the Bills' offense that had been missing at the beginning of this season.
Yes, and he's really assumed it in so many ways. I mean, Sean was fielding questions on Monday about, all right, you got this kid who has 90 yards receiving, but he's obviously a big part of your special teams package. Do you maybe have him stop doing that and lean more into it on offense? And he didn't say this, but the fact that he said he's going to pretty much remain on special teams while doing this, that's exactly what Mac Hollins did last year. He was a four-phase special teamer and still found ways to make an impact, none bigger than in the AFC title game against the Chiefs when he made the touchdown and another big one that set up another touchdown. He was impressive. And all Shavers has done this season when he's been targeted is catch the ball. And I think that, Josh was talking about it after practice today, there's a trust that develops with receivers when you go and look their way and they make plays. When they come up in the progressions, it's so much easier and default to then just rip throws because you have that built-up memory of them making plays for you. So I definitely think, Hollins was unique in what he brought this team from a leadership perspective and, like I mentioned, on teams and as a receiver. But I think Shavers has done a great impression, and he's a guy that, maybe is not this loud leadership type kind of guy in the room, but somebody that everybody respects, everybody trusts, and in the environment with everything going on with Keon right now, for Shavers to step up the way that he has is quite a story.
Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard. Sticking with the special teams, Matt, that might have been the best game the special teams have pulled off. The punter pinning him down. Prater does what he needs to do. But the kickoff returns, Matt, and Hardman did rip off one. That's one factor, but is there something different Buffalo was doing, or are we just saying that was a really good matchup against Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay is more the reason why that happened.
No, I think you have to give a little bit of the credit to the Bills, and Chris Tabor is a experienced special teams coordinator, and Sean said it today. This was a whole brand new thing that I think teams have had to kind of figure out, and the sense that I got out of his answer was that it maybe took a little bit longer for the Bills to figure out how to maximize their packages, how to get guys lined up in the right spot, and which way to block and how to read all of it. You're almost starting from the ground up with how you're teaching it. Because even last year, there wasn't as many run backs. You had teams still kicking it into the end zone a lot more frequently. So I think that piece of it. And then when Hardman had that run back, I almost felt like sometimes when you see the ball go in, as a basketball player, the hoop gets bigger, right? And I think that's what kind of happened for Ray Davis. Okay, Hardman had this big return. Maybe I can get something going here. And then all of a sudden, each return got a little bit better. And the Bills historically do a really good job of this, is like finding guys that work hard, that accept their role, that maybe aren't fitting into the picture, but finding a role for them to contribute. I think about Quentin Morris for many years. He was a special teams ace for them. Davis has not been a factor on offense. But for him to have a breakout performance as a returner, and now with Hardman potentially out this week, it gives you some faith going into this game on the road that, somehow Ray Davis can have that same kind of impact with whoever else they put back there. Wouldn't it be interesting if one of the guys that they maybe try out, if he is up, is Keon Coleman? That's something that he did in college. He was a punt returner during training camp. He worked with the punt returners quite a bit. Is that something that, putting him on punt or kick return, maybe even instead of playing him at wide receiver would be a nice, hey, earn your way back kind of thing, and maybe add some juice in that department. And listen, it hasn't been going great for him as a receiver. Maybe that could be something to, energize him a little bit.
Matt, on the defensive side of the ball, Cole Bishop continues to ascend. Another clutch turnover with the interception on Sunday, and it feels like it coincided with Taylor Rapp going on IR and Jordan Poyer getting inserted into the lineup. Tell me your view on Bishop, and then also the linebacking core. Bernard better, but it feels very clear that both he and Matt Milano are far from 100% from a health standpoint.
Yeah, and for Milano, it wasn't good before the injury, and you really have to start asking yourself some big picture questions. And you have a young guy in Dorian Williams who, I think I'd probably be trumpeting this take a little bit more if Williams wasn't injured, like in the same way. Like he's been dealing with an elbow and a knee going back to training camp that keeps continually popping up. And he plays a physical brand. So I'm not surprised that's something that he's going to kind of continue to deal with. But, if he wasn't, don't you think the cries for Dorian Williams to be on the field a little bit more would be louder? Because you're right. Like these two guys, I think the best linebacker game the Bills have played this season, and I can't remember the opponent now. It might have been the Chiefs. I don't remember. Might have been Panthers, actually. It was Shaq Thompson and Dorian Williams. And I think both of them were on the injury report the next week, and maybe both of them didn't play. And so that vaulted Bernard and Milano back into the lineup. And you're right, it's been a roller coaster for both of these guys. And Terrell Bernard's not running away from it. He said he doesn't want to use it as an excuse, but he's obviously not right. He's not firing the same way. Cover One put out a really great thread, putting some similar plays from this season compared to what he was able to do last season. It doesn't even look like the same player. So I think Bernard, it's just about trying to get him healthy. It looks like Shaq Thompson is getting close back to 100%. And, maybe on a short week, you dialed Terrell Bernard back and you let Shaq Thompson play because you want to try to get him healthy. Because I think Bernard, especially knowing what he meant to this defense last year, he's a two-time captain. I think you want him to be as close to healthy as possible for the playoff run. And you keep running him out there at 60, 70%. It's going to be hard to get him there by the time the playoffs come. And if Shaq can go, it'll look good when he was in there.
So we have breaking Bills news here in the sports bar.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Matt, that's our breaking news sounder here in the sports bar. As the Bills injury report is out, 12 players listed as limited, as you would expect on a short week. Not practicing today, McCole Hardman. Not practicing Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid's not going to play. Curtis Samuel we talked about. Khalil Shakir, again, DNP, did not practice personal reason. So if we can go back to the beginning there, Matt, Khalil Shakir, your thoughts here, because if it's personal, we really can't dig too far on that.
Right. He could have been excused for any multitude of reasons. He was practicing yesterday, or he was available, and there's a lot. This happens all the time. Like guys pop up here or there. Like we'll get a more clear picture tomorrow when the injury report comes out. But if Shakir's status comes into question, just reacting to that possible development, I think that almost forces your hand if you're Sean McDermott. If you were still, thinking about keeping Keon Coleman down, you might be forced into playing him unless you want to go with 4 wide receivers, depending on what's going on with Samuel and Hardman. It doesn't look like either of them are trending towards playing. So it's going to get very complicated here over the next couple of hours as the Bills try to figure out what they have at their disposal on a short week against the Texans.
All right, so defensively against those Texans, knowing there's no C.J. Stroud, knowing that their run game is kind of non-existent, do you focus on making Davis Mills beat you with his arm if you're the Bills defense and stopping that run game? I mean, hard for me to imagine Woody Marks having a big game, but, I mean, this is a run defense that's struggled all season long.
Yeah, I don't think we're ruling out any running back in the NFL from finding some success against this Bills run defense. It's been that bad. I do think that this is a game where maybe you can get a little bit of your mojo back because they're a team that you know what they're going to be. You played Davis Mills before. He's going to have turnover-worthy plays. I think you're going to be able to get pressure on him. I mean, that's part of the reason C.J. Stroud is out right now because this offensive line isn't very good. And so I think that the Bills have done a good job of beating up on bad teams and bad offensive lines. So I think you're going to see a Bills team that's top 5 in pressure rate this season try to land against Davis Mills and then do their best to fill gaps. And, you probably see some Dorian Williams. You probably see some Shaq Thompson. They'll probably go some base sets as well. And you're coming off a game where I think all 3 cornerbacks played really well against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we were not talking about Emeka Egbuka after that game. And I think that's one positive that you could take out of that performance is the way the Bills dealt with their passing game. So I think it could be a long day for Davis Mills. And I do think the Bills, they're starting to hear it. I think they've heard it all along, but I think it's going to get redundant with how bad they've been against the run in terms of answering these questions. This would be a game where I think they want to come out and you don't want Woody Marks having a big day on you.
Matt, last one. Sean McDermott on Thursday, 6-1. I mean, you talked to other writers around the league here. I just was kind of impressed by the tone McDermott set and others. Following that win over the Buccaneers, it was almost like, hey, instantly we're already on to the Houston game here.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting too that he added that he enjoys these Thursday games because it's a different form of competition, right? Like battle of attrition, like who can get healthiest the fastest, who can break down a week's worth of preparation into 2 or 3 days. And I think these folks in the NFL, man, they like look for anything to charge up, their competitive juices. And I think that whole organization is going to be plenty. And there's an opportunity that's presented itself right now for the Bills. I know that Patriots have a really easy schedule down the stretch, but December football is different. We talk about this every year. I'll believe it when we see it. According to Aaron Schatz's DVOA metrics, the Patriots are among the worst 9-2 teams in the history of football since DVOA stats have started. So, I mean, me and Ryan have talked about it over the last week. I'm not buying the New England Patriots. I think the Bills are going to win the division. I think they're going to smash them in a month in their house. And what's funny is I've heard a lot of Bills fans talking about, and this isn't a defending Sean McDermott take, as much as it is, I think there is this idea about Mike Vrabel as a head coach that is just faulty. Like, if you go back and really examine his time in Tennessee, and I know he didn't have great quarterbacks, and that's all well and good, but he was not nearly the successful head coach that I think a lot of people like to paint, and he's done a great job there. Drake May is an awesome young quarterback, but we've seen it. We've seen this. We saw it in Miami 3 years ago when Mike McDaniel got there and everybody had kind of crowned them champions. And these games in December, they just take on a different tone. And I felt like if the Jets hadn't made the trades that they had made, they probably beat the Patriots. I mean, it felt like the Patriots want to lose that game on Thursday Night Football last week. So it's going to be a fun, man. I'm almost more fun to cover this stretch of the Bills because it's so much different than last year when they had the division wrapped up. Now it's a real chase. And it's a very unique new AFC title pitcher that is going to make the next couple of weeks and months really fun.
It is different, but it's also the same in that it feels like the Bills every season are right around where we are right now. I think there was one year where they're maybe like 5-5 and they made that push. But Matt, I mean, this is the roller coaster ride, and I'm speaking to a guy who I know appreciates a good ride at Disney. You forget sometimes how much fun the ride is, and you have to get on that ride again. And that's every NFL season. That's every NFL team. The ups, the downs, the twists, and the turns. And here we are in the heat of it, knowing that there's a lot of football left to be played, and that when they're playing the way they looked on Sunday for most of that game on Sunday, the Bills are going to be a hard team to beat. So it's definitely going to be an exciting stretch run here through the month of December and into the postseason. Matt, what are you working on in a short week here that we can check out leading up to Thursday night?
Listen, that's not the big news. You can find all my work at Syracuse.com,
No.
the Shout podcast on all the platforms. You know the usual. The big news is I land back here on Friday from Houston, and on Sunday it is off to the magical world
There
of
it is.
Disney
Knew it.
for a short jaunt with the family. This is the first time ever we're going to be able to go to the Christmas party. So we knocked off the Halloween party. Now we're doing the Christmas party. We're going in on Sunday, 9 a.m., and it's the last day of the Food and Wine Festival. So I'm going to eat around the world, drink around the world, and be merry. Because where else can you be merrier than the home of Mr. Mickey?
Yeah. Cheers, brother. That's a good memory for you and the family, and I'm kind of jealous. I miss the days. I'll say that. I miss the days as your kids get older and you don't do the family vacations as frequently as you do when they're your kids' age, man. Soak it all in. It is a great time.
All right, guys. I'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Actually, I won't see you next week. I'll be in Disney, so lose my number next week. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Sounds good,
You
Matt.
got it. Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Center. We will not be talking to him next week. Lose his number.
Lose his number.
Doesn't want to do a hit from the Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Well, you're covering the Buffalo Bills. Your vacation schedule is based around the Buffalo Bills, and all right, I guess, yeah, there would be a practice Wednesday as they get ready for Pittsburgh. So
He's probably traveling on Tuesday.
yeah, you'll be back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Love that for him. Love that for his family. No, it's fantastic. It really is. Matt Perino covering the team for the Syracuse Post-Standard. Check out all his work at Syracuse.com. We're going to take a break. Come back next with your Week 12 Survive and Advance pick. And if you've been following along, if you've been tailing us, I said us, if you've been tailing, well, in this specific instance, me, you're still alive. If you were tailing Gene, you would have been out, what, Week 5?
Do we have to review this every week?
Well, we'll
Do
review.
we have to
we'll
review?
What? Go ahead.
Look, I did this to myself.
You did.
I did this to myself. I trusted Arizona. Foolish. You said no. Detroit over Cincinnati is the pick. I said no. We're going to just kind of rely on my rules. And this is where it got me. So, like in like some bad direct-to-video movie, I am sitting in a chair bound and can't say a word.
Here's the thing. We are going to review the rules. And we may have to, at this point of the season, you may have to break a rule or two to get the right pick. Because we're running out of options every week.
Well, that's it. With a lot of teams you cannot go with.
Right. Luckily, there are a few teams that are surprising us this season, that have exceeded expectations, that we have yet to choose in our Survivor pool, and they may provide us with a winner in Week 12. We'll share who this week's pick is coming up next, along with Michael Leone, Rochester Amerks head coach, joining us at 425 here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan.
WBEE HD2 Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is out against the Bills. It's going to be Davis Mills getting the start in the Thursday night affair. Buffalo listed as a 6-point favorite. Sean McDermott says physicality is a key.
Yeah, it's big. They got some guys that have that are big in stature and yet have twitch to them, and really at all three levels of their defense. So it's both corners are really good, and their safety play is excellent as well. And so the front and the back end are working together.
Another roster move for the Bills today. They bring back punt returner Brendan Codrington to the practice squad. RIT hockey tonight. They're looking to make it 10 in a row. They play at Niagara. The Emeralds look for their third straight road win tomorrow night at Lehigh Valley. Coming up at the bottom of this hour, we'll talk to head coach Mike Leone. Sabres tomorrow night host Calgary. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Welcome on back into the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We're glad you're with us. Thanks for listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950, Odyssey, iHeartRadio. Tune in if you're mobile. You can also watch the sports bar, our live video stream every afternoon from 3 to 6 on our YouTube channel and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. Mike Leone, Amherst head coach, joining us in about 20 minutes. We'll talk some fantasy football before 5 o'clock as well with Michael F. Florio from NFL Network, also big Bills guy, so we'll talk some Buffalo Bills with Florio as well.
Yeah, this is interesting because we're getting to the part, this fantasy year, Danger, like, who's an offense you can rely on? I mean, Detroit didn't really show up. Philadelphia's been spotty. Do we think the Bills are fixed or no? Because if the Bills score 17 points Thursday night in Houston, that wouldn't surprise me either.
I'm going up against a Josh Allen owner this week, and I'm thankful that I didn't go up against him last week. Let's just put it that way. I think it is, as it's always been, a week-by-week league, and it is hard. I mean, I guess if you're the owner, the fantasy GM who stumbled into a combination of Jonathan Taylor and Jackson Smith and Jigba, you're probably not complaining about too much this season. But not many people did that. Not many people had those two guys doing what they're doing. But Josh Allen has been magnificent, as always, at quarterback. So we'll get some thoughts from Florio on Week 12, waiver wire pickups, roster management, and who might have some advantageous playoff schedules here with the fantasy football playoffs just a few weeks away. Before we get to that, we have to get to our Week 12 Survive and Advance pick in the sports bar. Yes, it is Week 12. And yes, we are still alive. I'm excluding Gene. Gene is not alive. We lost Gene in Week 5, but we're dragging him along anyways. And this is a collaborative effort, a team effort. We pull for each other here in the sports bar.
Look, I'm Shavers. I'm not Keon Coleman. I'm Shavers. I'm a team guy, Danger. I want you to win.
That's great. With that in mind, the rules of the road here for picking winners in your Survivor pool. We shared them Week 1. We share them every week. They're vital. This is the process. You go through this process, and you're usually not disappointed. We don't take road teams, or at least we try to avoid road teams. Divisional games are tough. These are common opponents. They know each other well. I mean, did anybody predict the Bills losing to Miami? Divisional game.
No.
Right? Vegas line is our guide. So if you're picking, you're going to pick a favorite, and that favorite must be giving more than 5 points. Hell, you could even bump that up to 6 or 7 points if you really wanted to.
Should we adjust this rule? Because 5 now seems low.
At this point of the season, when you know the haves and the have-nots, yes, you could absolutely adjust it. No saving. Saving is for losers. Savers are losers in Survive and Advance football, and hedgers are losers. At the beginning of the season, you have one pick. Stick with one pool, not multiple picks in the same pool. Hate that move. Bad defenses are bad plays, and by this point of the season, we have a pretty good idea of who the bad defenses are. You want to avoid taking the team playing at home for the second consecutive week, and there's no shame in picking against a bad team week after week. Down the stretch here, a team like the New York Jets, they're packing it in. They're benching Justin Fields, starting Tyrod Taylor. Bad team. Maybe we'll have opportunities to pick against some of these bad teams week after week. And don't override logic here. You're at week 12 for a reason. Don't worry about the outlier game or praying that the majority of your pool is going to get knocked out by taking this. No one wins their. It's a week by week thing here. You run your race. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Don't look at what the rest of the pool is doing. If you've been tailing us in the 2025 season, here are the teams that we cannot pick in week 12. They have gotten us to this point. We raise a glass to Denver in week 1 over Tennessee. Baltimore, early season win over the Raiders in week 2. Tampa Bay made us sweat, but they got by the Jets in week 3. Bills over the Saints. We knew what the Saints were. The Bills took care of business. And this is where we ran into a problem with Gino. Gino went with Arizona over the Titans. The Titans got their one win in the desert in week 5. We chose Detroit. I chose Detroit over the Bengals. And we advanced. We stayed in the NFC North, taking Green Bay in week 6. Chicago over the Saints in week 7, picking on the Saints again. Kansas City was our week 8 pick. Los Angeles Rams over the Saints week 9 and week 10. We had to sweat a little bit, but Indianapolis got it done for us in Germany in overtime over Atlanta. The Patriots last Thursday were our week 11 pick. And once again, we didn't really sweat that one out. We enjoyed this weekend stress-free, and we go into week 12.
Yeah, it's funny how you go back, okay, the Bengals, the Titans you haven't picked on all that much.
Interesting.
Saints are, the Saints have been the number one picked on team here.
Yeah. All right, so let's start by crossing off divisional games here. The games that we can actually look at. I mean, we haven't taken the Vikings. The Vikings and Packers are playing. Green Bay is favored by 6.5. We can't take the Packers. I'm not taking the Vikings in this spot. Falcons, Saints, these are two bad teams. They're going nowhere. I'm not interested. I mean, I know somebody would be cute and be like, oh, this is the one time I could take the Saints to beat the Falcons. No, don't do it. Just avoid. Eagles, Cowboys. Philly, when I wrote this, Gino was favored by 4.5. I don't know if that's changed based on last night's outcome. They still haven't taken. We still haven't taken the Eagles yet, and
it's down to 3.5.
Okay,
let's pause there. I mean, we wouldn't take Philadelphia, Dallas, but doesn't that feel like, oh, the Cowboys are back? Are they?
Yeah,
that feels like I'm taking candy from a baby, only giving 3.5 with the Eagles.
We're not taking the Eagles in Week 12. We still have them. We're not taking them in Week 12. Cross off of road favorites. Now, Seattle is favored by almost 2 touchdowns in Tennessee. That's big. That's juicy. That's tasty. We'll circle back on that. Jacksonville is just a 2.5-point favorite in Arizona. They're a small favorite on the road. And are we ready to see the Jags as the team that prevents Kansas City from making the playoffs in 2025? Because that could happen if the Jags handle their business here and beat up on the Cardinals. We'll cross off small favorites here as well. Vegas giving Cleveland 3 points at home. Again, 2 bad teams. Don't really want to touch either of those. Which leaves us with San Francisco hosting the Panthers on Monday. And they're a near touchdown favorite. And we have not taken the Niners yet. They dropped 41 last week in Brock Purdy's return. I don't hate this pick. But it's just not as glaring as what's being presented to us in Music City, Gino. The Titans are trash. They're in line to be on the clock at season's end. I know Darnold's 4 picks against the Rams on Sunday have some worried about a regression for the Seahawks quarterback. I don't see it happen in Week 12. And much like the great Eddie Vedder once sung, oh, I ain't survivor, I'm still alive. Gino, the Seattle Seahawks, your Week 12 winner. Book it now. And you can thank us on Monday.
Mike Danger spoke in class today and hit me with a surprise laugh.
Oh, I'm still alive. You're still alive in Survivor football.
Where do you come down on Pearl Jam? Because you poo-poo, you too. But Pearl Jam, come on.
Pearl Jam's elite.
Thank you.
Elite.
Thank you.
Yeah. U2 is every song. No. Pearl Jam is elite. Get me to a Pearl Jam show. We'll have some fun. Get me to a U2 show. I will fall asleep.
1994, they opened a tour at the Blue Cross Arena. Do you know that?
Oh, I'm sure you were there.
I was there.
Everybody was there.
was there.
Everybody was there.
Everybody was there. I was there at U2 at Silver Stadium.
Oh, sure.
With Los Lobos.
Right. You probably saw the
Yeah.
Goo Goo Dolls at some club somewhere in Buffalo, too, right? Goo Goo Dolls and...
Danger.
Mhm.
The Goo Goo Dolls did PXY Jingle Jam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
don't
that was...
remember that?
That
Yeah.
was the year before I moved here.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
The acoustic thing over there at the hotel,
Yeah.
right? The ballroom of the hotel. Yeah. Heard all about it. I moved here maybe 4 months later.
Okay.
Yeah, Pearl Jam's elite. Are you kidding me? I mean, if we did a bracket, I'm trying to think. Best, when you do the best rock band of all time debate, like it's hard to say that Led Zeppelin or Rolling Stones shouldn't be at the top of that list because of how influential they were for that whole genre of music, right?
Wow. And then you would have people that would say, back it up a little bit. This domain belongs to the Beatles.
Sure.
Right?
Right. So what do those three bands all have in common? They're not American. So who are the greatest American rock bands of all time?
Ooh.
Right. Now you have to start thinking. Now you and
Are we saying, well, Poppy, Aerosmith, right?
Aerosmith
they probably
is-
sold the most.
Aerosmith is up there. Do you put a Pearl Jam up there? Do you put a Guns N' Roses up there? Van Halen is a tricky one. You could say yes, but Van Halen, I want to say, weren't the Van Halen brothers Austrian or German?
I'd have to look that up.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a fun debate that we like to have when we talk football and music and eat wings and drink beer. But Pearl Jam is up there. I mean, they're a 1 seed for sure. You definitely got to put them in as a 1 seed. I mean, they are absolutely up there.
That's that is an easy pick. Yeah, sure. Rule violation. Seattle going on the road, and I know that's a lot of travel for them. As poorly as Sam Darnold played, and we think the Rams are good. It came down to a field goal attempt.
That's right. They almost won that game.
They almost won a game they had no business in winning. So I love a team that, okay, they're going to come in pissed off. And the Titans, everything's wrong with the Titans right now. Their quarterback right now is not getting any help whatsoever. This year should have been about one thing. Grow, develop Cam Ward, and he looks like a mess right now. That team has no help around them.
Ridley is gone for the year.
Yeah, it's just a mess. There's
It's
no
over.
redeeming quality to the
It's
Titans.
over. You have your one win, and you'll be picking number 1 overall again. Now, if you took Seattle earlier this year, which is possible, San Francisco does not violate any of the rules. If you wanted to take the Niners, it wouldn't violate any of the rules that we laid out. Home team, not a divisional game. They're a heavy favorite. It's a Monday night. I don't want to wait until Monday. And Carolina's frisky.
Carolina getting that rare, hey, we're going in prime time. Let's show that wouldn't worry you as all. You always say the home underdog you worry about, but a team like Carolina is never on in prime time. And here they are on Monday Night Football.
I mean, all that being said, I think Carolina's going to get waxed by the Niners on
I do
Monday.
too.
But I feel like the safer play here is still Seattle, if you're able to take Seattle. If not, the Niners, I think, are a good second choice if you haven't taken the Niners yet. And like I mentioned, we haven't taken Philadelphia yet. I mean, there's still some teams out there that are available to us. I'm not looking ahead. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I could tell you that the Eagles play the Bears on Black Friday. I'm probably not taking that game. But I couldn't tell you what the Niners schedule looks like down the road. Where am I taking the Niners? I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll see something change here this week.
No, we don't even want to look ahead.
No, we don't.
And we don't want to look at it. That serves no purpose. It clouds your judgment. Like you could say, oh, I want to save. No, you're going to get caught.
What was our best run in the sports bar? I know you had a run where you won it all, and that was magnificent.
Our best run.
Christmas, wasn't it?
Funny how like you associate sports with dates and times. And let me tell you a story that I'm in the press box watching the Jets and the Dolphins. Excuse me, the Bills and the Dolphins. Of course, the Jets and getting confused because it's Rex Ryan, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. That's
2016.
Yeah, 2016. That's the game where you have the 10 men on the field. That's a 4:25 game.
Is it 2015 or 2016?
2016.
2016.
2016. And the 10 men on the field in overtime, that was a 4:25 kickoff on Christmas Eve. Thank you, NFL. And leading into that game, on in the background, I see Cleveland kick a field goal against the Chargers. Cleveland picking up their first win of the season.
The Chargers chargering.
The Chargers chargered us. And that was Merry Christmas, everyone. You just lost.
It's still a pretty
yeah.
great run.
Yeah.
And we're on one right now. We're not gonna see it end in Week 12. We feel very good about this pick. Seattle Week 12. If you have the ability to pick Seattle, that's your pick. I want to say the biggest spread on the board for the week.
It is.
Yeah, that's a gift. We'll get to Michael Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, here in a few. It's Tuesday, which means we got to play Who's Hot and Who's Cold in fantasy football, which is brought to you by Heat and Cool. That's cool with a K. Why a K? Because it's cool.
Well, I mean, who's hot? Congratulations to every Josh Allen owner.
Yeah.
I mean, only the third time in NFL history you had somebody throw for 3 touchdowns, rush for 3 touchdowns. I don't know. Like in any standard format or any format, you're around roughly 50 points there. Congratulations on your win. Who's cold?
I can submit one for this. I'm an Ashton Genty owner in multiple leagues.
Yeah.
That was kind of gross. I don't like that usage.
It's not his fault, though. Like, Chip Kelly is not knowing what to do with that offense. Chip Kelly should be fired.
Don't love that usage at all. We'll get more into fantasy football with Michael Lefleur from NFL Network in just a little bit here. But first, a check-in on the Rochester Americans hitting the road. A game on the NHL Network as well as on the Fan Rochester tomorrow night. Mike Leone, head coach, joining us next on the Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Ball. Rochester. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
It will not be C.J. Stroud against the Bills. He did return to practice today. He will not be cleared in time in the concussion protocol. So it'll be Davis Mills starting at quarterback for Houston against the Bills coming up Thursday night. Sean McDermott does have respect for this Houston defense.
Very talented. They put together a good defense with, different spots, critical positions, as we talk about position value, that, the guys are playing well for him. And D'Amico knows defense and got a lot of respect for him as a football coach. And he's had a good defense there for, just about every year he's been there.
The Bills bringing back punt returner Brandon Codrington to the practice squad today. Bills in Houston, our pregame coverage will begin at 4 o'clock this Thursday here on The Fan. The Amerks look for their third straight road win tomorrow night when they play at Lehigh Valley. We'll talk to head coach Mike Leone coming up next. RIT hockey tonight playing at Niagara. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, The Fan Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Man toward the net, shot, and a save by Topias Lainen, and it'll be a 3-on-1 the other way. Topias Lainen saves the game. Can the Amerks send it here? They do! They score! Riley Fiddler-Schultz inside the right circle, gets it under the legs of Boyko.
That was a scene in Hartford on Friday night as the Amerks get a 4-3 winner in overtime. They go on to win in Bridgeport on Saturday night as we welcome in head coach Mike Leone. With Lehigh Valley on deck tomorrow night. Coach, since last we spoke, last Wednesday, the loss against Belleville, and it was honestly refreshing to hear a head coach be as pointed and direct as he was about his goalie's performance. And Devin Levi, got pulled from that game, and you were asked about it. Talk a little bit about that game, that performance, and, Devin gets the win on Saturday against Bridgeport, and we look forward.
Yeah, no, it was crazy how it all blew up, especially with social media. I mean, I think people know, especially for me, it's not the outside, it's what's in the room, and the guys know. I've done that before with whether it was guys last year or our young players or whoever it is. You got, regardless of what position you're in, you have to play to a certain standard and expectation that we have for you. And it just, the interview it wasn't good enough. And we believe in Dev. He's a really good goalie. I thought, he responded with his intentions were really good. He'll be in the net tomorrow night, but if anyone knows me, how I'm wired, part of the reason why I'm brutally honest is people that know me well, I didn't grow up with anything in my life, nothing. I came from absolutely nothing. I had to earn everything I got in my life. So that's how I coach our teams or my teams of anyone I played on. And the guys know, and they play extremely hard all the time. And there's a give and take there. They know what's expected. They know what I expect out of them, and it just happened to be, a situation where, he needed to be better, and he was the next game, and I expect him to be good tomorrow night.
How difficult, if at all, is this, not just for you, but the whole organization up in Buffalo? Colton Ellis getting the win last night. Alex Lyon's been pretty good, and you have UPL, who we think is kind of the future, and Mike, with your team, you heard the highlight there. You have Line in it. You also have Alexander Goriev, and certainly we've just been talking about Devin Levi. So 3 guys up in Buffalo, 3 guys in Rochester. This is not your department, right? You're not the GM here, but you're the coach that has to determine who gets time. So again, how difficult is that, determining who gets the ice time?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like I said before, is just communicating with the guys about what the plan is for the week. We especially with our schedule that, you guys know, but we've been on the road 12 out of 17. We've been on the road. We've played the most games in the American Hockey League right now, and it's been a grind. So we just try to communicate with the guys about what the plan is going forward with the week, and and just kind of set up. And to another thing, we haven't had a lot of practice time. This was the first time actually in Lehigh Valley that we've been able to practice 2 days in a row, which is good. Work on some things. But, yeah, with Shamo and I, we have a lot of communication with our goalies. They always know where they're at, what the plan is for the week. So, this is a week we'll probably most likely see, Dev tomorrow night and then a game on the weekend. And Toby's done an outstanding job. Like, he's getting a lot better. He's playing really good for us. He's big. He's really mature with his game. He, after a not so great first period, he has the ability to make timely saves in certain situations, and he's really coming, and it's good to see a young goalie that's playing really well for us.
You mentioned being on the road as much as you've been to start this season, and this stretch here where you basically get done with Belleville, you head east, you got Hartford, Bridgeport, you stay on the road, you take on Lehigh Valley tomorrow night. You mentioned the lack of practice, but you've actually had a couple of chances to practice here. But what about off the ice? I mean, is this an opportunity for the team to develop a stronger bond outside of the locker room, Coach?
Yeah. Sorry. I just got some going on in my room right now. Can you say that again?
I was just wondering about, when you guys are on the road. You mentioned you had a chance to practice a couple of times there at Lehigh Valley, but you've been on the road for essentially what will be a full week. What opportunities does that present for your team to bond outside of the dressing room?
Yeah, no, it's really great. We had the guys actually after Sunday's game we stayed in Hartford and they got to go to the Giants football game.
Cool.
We gave them a couple of days off and then went to a team dinner last night. So it's been great. It's a really close-knit group. We're a really young team, just with obviously all the guys that are up and are missing right now. So it's a really fun group to coach. I like being on the road and you get to know people. You have a lot more conversation. Sometimes at the rink, guys are in and out, but this has been really good for our team, and we have a great group, and excited to get back, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, as we take a look at the standings, your division, my goodness, you win 2 on the road back-to-back, and still there's Laval tied with you. Tell us a little bit about, though, Lehigh Valley. So you're facing a Phantoms team, 9-4-1 on the season. What kind of an opponent is this going to be tomorrow night?
They're really good team, fast. They're young, they can skate. They really put a lot of pressure on you. Typically, it's probably, from watching their games, it's probably the best offensive team we're going to see that we've played so far. They can give you a lot of problems the way they transition. They've got a lot of skilled players. They've done a really good job with their roster, good D-core that can get up in the play. Really good goaltending. So it'll be a really good test for our group. They got guys down. We've been playing teams every week that, it's their full team. So our guys have done a great job. We got a lot of guys out, and the guys have done an awesome job, and not just playing, but, carrying the play in a lot of these games, especially 5-on-5.
Yeah, and look, for these young guys, you're on national television tomorrow night. The NHL Network picking up this game. Of course, we'll have it for you here, too, on the Fan Rochester. How much of a deal is that for your guys? You want to play well in front of that sort of audience?
Yeah, no, it's cool. I just realized that. Someone said it was on NHL Network. Honestly, though, it doesn't really. We just got to play our game and keep playing. I know when we're playing well, and I think we're second in the league in shots for. We're top 5 in shots against, and that's the way we play, the way we pressure the puck, and it's another opportunity for us to do that against a really good hockey team.
We'll have an opportunity to see your guys back on home ice coming up here on Friday against Bridgeport, a team that you just beat 5-3 on Saturday night. So what can you take from that win Saturday night leading into Friday nights here against Bridgeport? What did you learn about your opponent on Friday?
Yeah, no, they were a really hardworking team. They were all coached. We kind of got on them early, especially in the first period, but it's a really good team, and they'll be ready to go. They don't play on Wednesday, and it will be a good test for us on Friday.
With you being on the road, you didn't get to scoot off to Buffalo last night to catch the Sabres. That might have been their best game of the year, Coach, last night, and it's good to see some Amerks up there. Your thoughts on did you get to watch it at all? Oslin getting two last night.
No, I watched it when we got back from dinner. Those guys have done an amazing job. I think both those guys the last, 6-7 games, I think they're top 3 in scoring in that group. They're playing really good hockey. They've helped out on the power play, and even Dunner's done a great job on the fourth line. So for me, as our staff here, we're just, you want guys to get called up and be ready and play winning hockey, and that's what they're doing. And they're playing really good right now, especially with the injuries. Those guys have. I think Noah's got 5 points his last 6 games. Rosie's got 6 points in 8 games. Those guys are not just helping, but they're helping the team win.
Yeah, contributing in a big way. Coach Mike Leone, Rochester Americans, our guest here in the Sports Bar, as they get set to take on Lehigh Valley tomorrow night here on the Fan. Rochester puck drop just after 7 o'clock before returning home for a matchup against Bridgeport Friday night at Blue Cross Arena at 7:05. Coach, safe travels. Best of luck tomorrow night. Let's talk again next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, thanks, Mike.
There's head coach Mike Leone getting some room service or something. Some busy. He got a lot going on.
Ever been to Allentown?
I've driven through Allentown.
Yeah, that's the extent of it for me too.
I don't know that an extended stay in Allentown is anything I want to sign up for. That region. Let me think. I'm
Actually, I've been there. Check that. Lafayette. When I was in college, we played Lafayette College, and we were in Allentown.
Okay,
so that was.
Let me think. I'm dating myself here. My daughter's soccer, her travel soccer, took us to. Where did we go in Pennsylvania? It was not Allentown. It'll come to me. I'll think. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Every year was a tournament in Lancaster, and if you get outside of Lancaster, you see the Amish or the Mennonites or whatever, it's like, wow, it's still a thing. Fantastic.
When you get down in that area, central PA, it's, how do I say this? Yes, you see that, and you see a lot of adult shops too.
Oh, the along the Susquehanna River.
Yes.
It's God and porn. Really, that's what it is. Everything is God and porn. There's no real gray area.
No,
you're either getting a billboard that's anti-abortion and pro-God or porn. It's one of the two. Lots of triple X. These are the things we notice when we take the drive down to Florida on the family vacation. At least I don't share this usually publicly with the family, but I think we all observe it and we're like, okay, we are not in Kansas anymore. This is different.
No, the zoning law is a little different down here.
Yeah, right along that stretch of highway
what I'm talking
along
about.
the Susquehanna. Yeah. Yep, it's all God and porn. I don't know what goes on, but I try to get through that area as quickly as possible. As quickly and paid-free as possible.
It's Big Ben Parliament.
Yeah. Look this way. We'll have all the action for you here. Your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey tomorrow night as they take on Lehigh Valley. And yes, you can hear it on the Fan Rochester. You mentioned it, Gino. That's going to be on NHL Network as well. So you're not going to change your approach, but I imagine that's a big deal for some of the guys to be on the bigger platform.
I want to see the Amerks in a road game. That's kind of, let's see, finish up strong before you come home. And again, they have that Saturday game sprinkled in Utica, and we'll certainly talk about this with Coach next week, but you get Bridgeport, but then you're home on the Wednesday night.
I call that Donkey Punch Wednesday.
Bar owners call it amateur night.
Yeah.
You're home on amateur night or Donkey Punch or whatever it is. It's
Don't look that up, by the way.
Then the whole Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Too,
yeah, Black Friday against the Crunch. So you'll have plenty of chances here to check out the Amerks over the next couple of weeks, including right around the Thanksgiving holiday. And they're playing well. I love what he had to say about Devin Levi. I loved how he dealt with that, and hopefully you see Levi kind of turn a corner here and play at the level we've all kind of grown accustomed to see him play at while he's been wearing his Amerks sweater. Next, we go fantasy football. NFL Network's Michael F. Florio. And it's all presented by Heat and Cool. That's cool with a K, YK. because it's cool. Yeah. Michael F. Florio, NFL Network, our guest next on The Fan.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is. We love to compete. You get to play within 4 days instead of waiting for, 7 days. Our fans get to watch us middle of the week. They got something to look forward to. But it's hard on the players. It definitely is. And getting their fresh legs back underneath of them and everything and coming off of a game. So there's certainly challenges on the front end, and there's certainly some kind of rest on the back end for the guys, which is important.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott. Thursday night game, short week for the Bills as they take on the Texans. We welcome in Michael F. Florio, NFL Network, more importantly, Bills Mafia. Mike, we get the win on Sunday against Tampa Bay. Josh Allen looks remarkable once again, and now you've got Houston on a short week with Davis Mills. I mean, this is a game you can't lose, even though You're going up against, the league's best defense in the Texans. Welcome back into the sports bar, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's funny how much a week could change things, right? Because last week I came on here and I was like, the division's gone, the MVP's gone and everything. And now I'm like, hey, Bills win out. The Ravens beat the Patriots. They win the division. Josh is the MVP again, all of that. So a lot has changed in a week. But, yeah, no, the Texans defense is not one to be taken lightly. They also have some pieces on offense. I know C.J. Stroud is going to be out, but this is a team and a menu and everything that has given the Bills a lot of trouble in the past. So while I expect them to come out on top, I do think it's going to be a hard-fought battle throughout the game.
Week 12, there's a lot of us that have injury problems. There are a few buys this week. Denver, the Commanders, not that you're relying on the Commanders, but as we kind of take a look at, okay, what might be available here and we can kind of maybe go after. If you didn't get Sean Tucker, if you didn't have the courage, like me, to play him against the Buffalo Bills, did we miss the boat on that, or could there be a changing of the guard here in the Tampa backfield?
So, one, I'm sorry you didn't listen because I was on this show last week talking up Sean Tucker.
I don't know what this guy's problem is, Mike. I mean, he really a degenerate over here, not listening to the expert.
No, I get it. He was the RB2 and everything. So I 100% think Sean Tucker needs to be added right now, and I do believe he should surpass Rachaad White because even going back to that year where Rachaad White was a top 10 fantasy running back, he was the least efficient runner in football, and he has continuously been an inefficient runner throughout his career, whereas Sean Tucker is uber explosive, as Bills fans all saw firsthand last week. So I think he should surpass him there as the RB2 and the de facto RB1. But the issue is we don't know when Bucky is back, right? Like, he was limited in practice last week. He has a chance of suiting up this week. So because of that uncertainty, I'm not going to, throw all my fab that I have left or something like that on him. But I do think he should be picked up. And if you picked him up last week for a 1-week streamer or something like that, hold on very tight because if Bucky is out this week, we could be looking at, once again, Sean Tucker leading that backfield. Look, I know we're Bills guys here, but I give the Bucs a lot of credit for on the fly kind of being like, Tucker's running way better right now, and we are not afraid to make him our one.
So along those lines, knowing that the Bills' defense against the run has been largely a sieve through the course of this year, are you concerned that Woody Marks could have a day on Thursday?
Yeah, I think you have to be, given what the Bills' defense has looked like against the run this season. And it has been speedier, more explosive backs giving them issues. And I know Woody Marks has been up and down this season, but he does have that in his game. He's a good pass catcher. And the last 2 weeks, he has received bell cow work. Now, if you want words of encouragement for the Bills, the Tennessee Titans, who have also been one of the worst run defenses in football, were able to just shut him down last week. So while I do think Marks is in play as a start due to the volume that he has received lately and due to the matchup, there is a world where the Bills could at least contain him, slow him down. I also think the Bills' best defense against the run could be their offense. If they're able to put up points and jump out to a lead in this game, that's everything they want to do, right? Because then you have to rely on Davis Mills dropping back and trying to get them back in. They can't run all over them. The Bills, as great as last week was, come from behind, high scoring, everything. They are still at their best when they are playing from ahead with a lead and the opposing team can't run all over them.
Michael F. Florio, NFL Network, proud member of Bills Mafia, joining us here in the sports bar. Michael, I remember the conversation about Bryce Young end of last year, everybody pointing out, hey, look how he finished up. He's ready to kind of blossom, and then nothing. And then, we're paying attention to the Bills game, afterward, like, what on earth happened to Carolina's offense? Like, Bryce Young could be somebody maybe you stream, certainly in a super flex or not. Like, how do you explain the Carolina offense as they're going to be going and facing a good defense in San Francisco coming up Monday night?
I think it's twofold. One, you take it with a grain of salt because all of his career best games have come against the Falcons. Like, He has 2 career games with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Both have come against Atlanta. 4 of his career 12 wins have come against Atlanta. I'm a big believer that sometimes players and teams just have each other's numbers, and the Panthers right now have the Falcons' defense's number. But he has a great matchup this week as well against the 49ers, who generate pressure at the lowest rate in the NFL. Quarterbacks to face them, 6 of the last 7 have scored at least 19 fantasy points. So I'm not looking at Bryce Young as like a must-start or someone that I'm forcing into my lineups. Like, I'm playing Jacoby Brissett over him. I'm playing Jackson Dart over him. But when you start getting a little bit deeper down the quarterback rankings, or like you said, maybe you're dealing with injuries or buys or you're in a super flex, whatever the case may be, I do think Bryce Young is one of the top streaming, if not the top streaming option this week, unless like a Brissett is still on your waiver wire, which he should not be.
Talking fantasy football with Michael F. Florio of NFL Network here in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia on the Fan. And if you're a team that's had success this season, you're managing a team that's in a playoff position, Michael, it's not too early to look ahead to the fantasy playoff schedule. Are there players that have favorable matchups that you could be looking at? Or, I mean, depending on when your trade deadline is here, are there guys that you're circling saying, oh, that's a guy that has an unbelievable, as of right now, unbelievable playoff schedule for fantasy purposes?
Yeah, so it's funny you bring this up. Actually, this week on the NFL Fantasy Football Show, this is what we're diving into, right? Like playoff schedules, who you should be looking to trade for this week. So I definitely recommend everyone to check that out the next couple of days, because we're going to spend a lot of time on the show going into that. But just some off the top of the head, Lamar has a fantastic schedule. Tua does, but you don't really want to trust Tua. Brissett has a really good one. Purdy has a really good schedule. Some tough quarterback schedules are Mahomes. Josh Allen has a pretty tough one. Running back wise, the Bucs running backs, the Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley is also a really sneaky one, because on the other side, some of the worst, unfortunately, James Cook, the Lions running backs, Breece Hall, Genty, Harvey. What I think is a sneaky move right now is if you have one of those RB1s with a tough schedule like a Genty, maybe you don't want to move James Cook, but Breece Hall, something like that. If you could get those guys into a trade and get Saquon back, who has been struggling, I think that is a great move, because Saquon ends the fantasy season with our Buffalo Bills. And then some wide receiver. Justin Jefferson still has the best playoff schedule. I think he is a fantastic buy low right now. The Lions receivers have a great one. The Chargers, the Seahawks, but no one's trading JSN. And then some tough wide receiver schedules, the Pats, so maybe look to move Stephon Diggs. You could maybe look to move McMillan with a tough schedule there. The Chiefs, the Packers. And then lastly, tight ends. It's like Mark Andrews, Tyler Warren, Kyle Pitts all have favorable schedules, but like Kelsey, Bowers, Goddard all have really tough schedules. So again, you're not just giving these guys up, but if you're sitting there in first place or you feel comfortable about getting the bye or whatever like that, you should start already be turning your attention to the playoffs and who has favorable matchups and stuff. And not everyone does that, right? So someone might see a trade offer and be like, you're offering me one of these RB1s and another player for Saquon? Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Saquon's not living up to expectations. And then you have Saquon with one of the best schedules in the fantasy playoffs.
You know, it's funny, like when we talk about NFL injuries, we always have a timeline in mind when guys are going to come back. I don't know what the timeline here is for appendectomy for Marvin Harrison. I mean, he's going to be fine, I suppose, but we're going to be watching that. Tell me a little bit about Michael Wilson. If I could turn back time, Michael Wilson, 18 targets, 185 yards. Is that just kind of a one-hit wonder here, or are we rushing to get Michael Wilson of the Arizona Cardinals tonight on the waiver wire?
I don't think we're going to get 18 targets again, right? Like that does feel a bit like an anomaly there. But I do think it is a perfect situation for the Cardinals having to pass the ball, right? Like they trail often in games, and on top of that, they haven't been able to run the ball with any sort of consistency. So because of that, Brissett is throwing the ball 50-plus times. And I think Brissett is a better quarterback than he gets credit for. He can get, as we saw last week where he set the record for completions in an NFL game, he can get the ball to his guys. I will admit I thought Greg Dortch would be the one with the big game this week. He also did have a big fantasy day, but nowhere close to Michael Wilson. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is out this week, I do think Michael Wilson is in play because not only have the Jags struggled against the pass, they're top 5 in passing touchdowns and fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, but they have been torched by out-wide wide receivers and excelled against slot receivers this year. So Wilson playing a lot of his snaps out wide with out Marvin Harrison Jr. there. I do think he is a streaming option worth playing. Not like someone you're forcing into your lineup or something like that, but if you need a streamer, you're banged up and with injuries or something like that, yeah, he's going to get volume. He's going to get opportunity on a team that I think is going to continue to throw the ball at a very high rate.
Mike, the Patriots get a very favorable matchup against Cincinnati this weekend. Travion Henderson won a lot of weeks last week with his 3-touchdown performance against the Jets, but we're hearing Ramondre Stevenson is returning to practice. Do you think it goes back to the split that we saw, or do you think Henderson now has earned a bigger share here where he could feast against a bad Bengals defense?
You're probably asking the wrong person. I am maybe the biggest Henderson fan out there, but I think there's no putting the genie back in the bottle, in my opinion. I don't think Ramondre completely goes away. Like, I'm not expecting 75, 80+% snap share like we got last week for Travion, but I do think he is the RB1 there. It's not just all the touchdowns. Like, that's what's getting all the hype, but in his last 3 games, all 3 without Ramondre Stevenson, he's top 5 in touchdowns, in rushing yards. He's 6th in catches amongst running backs. He's top 5 in yards after contact and all of these metrics that we look at to see if a running back is good or not, right? Like, he is thriving in them. So I do think that he will continue. And we've seen this script before, right? Like, we have seen it take a while for an early round draft pick to get on the field. But once they do, they usually don't go back if they perform well. And the Patriots did use a second-round pick on him. I understand they're invested in Stevenson as well. My fear is that Stevenson is like the short yard guy, but I do think that Henderson is going to continue to be the third down back. And I think he is so explosive that you want to keep feeding him, especially against this Bengals defense that you said could be ran all over. So, yeah, for me, he is still a must-start option this week because of the matchup.
Yeah, Mike, last one for me, and we always ask you about streaming defenses and, admitting recency bias. Watching that disjointed Raider offense last night, like, wow, that doesn't look right. Chip Kelly is not doing a good job. I'm looking at Cleveland, perhaps. Are there any suggestions you have for who we should play as a defense this week?
Yeah, you hit 2 nails on the head there with the Browns against the Raiders. I also think the Raiders against the Browns are in play in that game. That is going to be an ugly game. And look, I'm a believer in Shedeur Sanders. I do think he has talent to play at this level, but he has a big issue, and it's taking sacks, and that is what you want in fantasy. We also saw him have an ugly turnover last week. The Packers are in play against the Vikings. Look, Viking fans everywhere are comparing JJ's first starts to Josh Allen's first 5 starts, and whenever you see that, you know it's going terribly wrong for the quarterback, and he's been taking sacks at such a high rate. I think the Seahawks are a must-play against Cam Ward, and the Titans, they could go for like 25-30, just win you the week. And then lastly, I think the Saints are in play. I know we've been streaming against the Saints this year, not really using them, their defense, but Kirk Cousins has looked bad, man, and he's had 3 opportunities to 1 start and 2 other games that he came in, hasn't scored a touchdown. Like, I think his best are behind him, and because of that, I think you stream against him.
Michael, tell everybody about the work you're doing at NFL Network, how we can get more of your content, including the Sick Podcast with Stevie Styles.
Yeah, so NFL Network, later today I'll be on the Insiders. Rest of the week you can catch me either on Fantasy Live or the Insiders Talking Fantasy, the NFL Fantasy Football Show where we're doing a lot of trade topics this week. Then Stardom Stidham comes out every Wednesday. But yeah, the Sick Podcast with Stevie Johnson, we are live every Thursday now, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And this week, every Thursday, I should say, at that time. And this week, that means we are leading up to the game. So if you want to come chill with us, we'll be live on my Twitter, Stevie's Twitter, anywhere else you want to find it. You could call in. You could talk to us. You could send us tweets now. yeah, we're just going to be chopping it up, having a good time, and getting ready for some Bills Texans on Thursday afternoon.
Well, let's hope the world is looking in a good place for the Buffalo Bills next time we talk to you next Tuesday, Mike. Always appreciate your advice here.
Thank you for having me, and go Bills.
Michael F. Florio, NFL Network, joins us every week at this time. We talk fantasy football here in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Yeah, that lot to talk about there, but I did not take his advice on Sean Tucker.
All he is an expert. I mean, that's it. You're
yeah.
not going to listen to the expert. I mean, the doctor tells you that you're sick, and you're not going to listen to the doctor.
There's no worse feeling than playing the wrong guy. When you thought about it and you think you're smarter than – this is why listen to Mike. This is why he comes on. Also listen to Andy Behrens when he comes on.
Smart.
Andy will be on at a different time this week.
Yeah.
Thursday at 3:25 Eastern. That's because by 4 o'clock we're in the Bills Radio Network.
Yeah, Thursday's the heavy lift here in the Sports Bar, the 1 hour show. So we'll get Andy Behrens on to set your lineup of Week 12. I'm going to ask Andy about Woody Marks. I mean, there's a part of me that doesn't want to see Woody Marks have success, and I want to see the Bills defense treat Houston's offense the way they treated Carolina. Like, Carolina came into that game, oh my God, Rico Dowell, they're running the ball, and Chuba Hubbard, they're doing everything they want to do running the ball. The Bills shut them down completely.
What was the difference? Shaq Thompson, Dorian Williams. Thompson, full participant. It maybe this is a load management thing and wasn't quite right, but a rested, healthy Thompson in the middle. You and I like Terrell Bernard. It's not right with TB, as they call him. I mean, the video of him not being able to run down Baker Mayfield. Ooh,
yeah,
that's
he's not playing 100%. He doesn't. He's hurt, and it's clear. We'll continue to keep tabs on that here as the team got in their practice today before they head to Houston. We have the injury report to talk about. We have some McDermott McLies. In fact, I've been saving this for happy hour. This could be historic. It's a 10-second clip of Sean McDermott talking about Davis Mills. The efficiency of the lies being told in this 10 seconds.
I have not heard this. Have you heard this?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay, everybody, place your bets.
Brace yourself. We'll get to that. We have plenty of time for your calls. 866-4FAN is our phone number. 585-866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. WK9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Indeed, it will be Davis Mills at quarterback for the Houston Texans Thursday night against Buffalo. C.J. Stroud was back at practice today. However, he did not clear concussion protocol. He will not be active. Sean McDermott has respect for this Houston defense.
Very talented. They put together a good defense with, different spots, critical positions, as we talk about position value, that, the guys are playing well for him. And D'Amico knows defense and got a lot of respect for him as a football coach. And he's had a good defense there for, just about every year he's been there.
Bills bringing back punt returner Brandon Codrington today to the practice squad. The RIT Tigers, the men's hockey team, they've won 9 in a row. Tonight they play at Niagara. The Amherst, they've won 2 games on the road over the weekend, looking to make it 3 in a row on the road as they play at Lehigh Valley tomorrow night. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Happy hour in the sports bar. Thanks for joining us and listening while you're driving around on your way home from work at 95.7 FM, AM 950. If you're mobile, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, tune in, all the apps where you can find us. We're too big for just one app. You can also get the stream as we video stream live every afternoon from 3 to 6 on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
One of our regulars, Greg, writing in, God, porn, and donkey punches. Fascinating sports radio, I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what you come to. We are not your typical sports talk show. No. We like to have a little fun here in the Flower City. We got a round of shots coming up here before 6, and last call, which is your opportunity to have the final word in the sports bar at 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Breaking news here in the sports bar.
Breaking news in the sports bar.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
So when we looked at the Bills' injury report, wait a second, Khalil Shakir, again, not practicing personal reasons yesterday, today. What's wrong? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Congratulations to he and his wife. As Sailor Shakir, the mom, had a baby girl, Sunny Haven Shakir.
He's there for the birth of his daughter.
That's what a man should do.
That's right. All right, so that's good news. I'm sure, a couple days off to heal as well as celebrate the birth of his daughter will be good for the body and for the soul of Khalil Shakir. Do we have a game status? Is he questionable because of the birth of his daughter? Do we know?
No, yeah, he can get on the plane tomorrow.
He's probably on the plane tomorrow.
He's on the plane tomorrow.
Wow. That's some navigating the regular season. I mean, a lot of these guys will plan it, right? Well, if you're going to have a kid, it can't be during the season. It's got to be during the off season. Sometimes it's not your, it's not your choice. Sometimes.
What's the story? Who is the quarterback? I remember the story. So this is Peyton Manning. He's with the Broncos, but it's not Peyton Manning having the kid. It's his offensive coordinator, Adam Gase.
The guy that looks like he murders pets.
And you want to talk about planning. So that was a pre-planned delivery. So that's a football wife for you. Adam Gase on a Tuesday, the slowest day of the week when it comes to being a football coach. And by being slow, it's not really slow, but okay, you can manage that. And so she delivers in the morning. And as the story goes, he says, "You good? Okay, good." Because Tuesdays, 1 o'clock on Tuesdays, he always had a meeting with Peyton Manning. Gets in, Peyton, what are you doing here?
Peyton Manning's wondering,
what are you doing
you
here?
Psychopath. Go be with your wife who just gave birth to your child. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Crazy. I would say that's wrong.
Yeah. Well, Gase was wrong a lot. Gase rode those coattails, I think, as far as anybody could ride the coattails of a star player. That was impressive.
That was impressive.
Yeah. He parlay into a lot.
866-4FAN, 866-4326. You're always welcome to join us during happy hour. Mike and Seabreeze. What's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. So this has been bothering me all season, and it became very apparent last night, not just the fact that they only ran the ball 7 times, but the wasted possessions of teams. Like, I don't understand why teams don't have the intensity anymore or the urgency to get more possessions in a game, especially when they're down. McDermott's done this in the past where we're down by 2 scores and yet we're lollygagging using the entire time clock to get up and hike the ball. And last night, going into the fourth quarter, the Raiders wasted probably 2 possessions. They could have gotten 2 extra possessions if they hadn't taken so long. So I don't understand the lack of urgency. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Can we first say, Mike, good job on lasting till the fourth quarter last night. That's a true football fan because that was garbage. I couldn't watch it. I mean, it was so bad. It was one-sided, and you kind of knew going into that game Dallas was going to win.
This is why the NFL is immune. Because one of my opponents was actually playing the Dallas defense, which you'd be like, wait a second, they suck. No, against that opponent.
Yeah.
And I ended up losing by 1 point.
No, yeah.
So that's what and I'm watching right to the end.
The NFL has you by the short hairs,
they
Gino.
Do.
To Mike's point, I think that there are moments, teams, where you're trying to milk as much as you can. You want to take possessions away. You want fewer possessions for your opponent. You need your defense to catch their breath, whatever it might be. Now, I can't speak to last night specifically because I didn't last that long into the game. And if you're telling me that the Raiders were mismanaged on offense, I would blame Chip Kelly. I would say Chip Kelly's a buffoon.
He should be fired.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly is living off a name of 10 years ago where run the ball, mix it up. And to the caller Mike's point about McDermott, hey, I've seen growth, actually, from McDermott in this area, and I would point to the Baltimore game because we all remember the end wasn't going so good in the first half, but the Bills eked out 3 points. They maximized the end of that clock at the end of the first half, and wouldn't you know that points in a game like that, everything mattered. So I can point to that in some other instances, Mike. But
I would say this too. I mean, our most recent disappointing moment of the Bills' season was the loss in Miami. And the way they came out in the second half of that game, you could tell, like, okay, defensively we're struggling against their run. We're struggling against the speed of Achane. But the way that opening drive of the second half against Miami went, like, all we think about is the outcome of the game. It was bad. Mm-hmm. You score instead of throw a red zone pick there. I think you're talking about a different outcome of that game.
Sure, 100%.
I think, that one play, that one red zone pick changes everything. And you have a defense now that's been off the field and, can maybe catch their breath and gear up to stop Achane and come out with a different level of intensity. It really comes down to managing your guys, their reps, the opponent. How often do you want them out there? How many chances are you going to give them? I hear what you're saying. I don't think this is as bad for McDermott as it is for some other teams.
Yeah, and we talked. You're talking about the Miami thing. Going back over the show today, Matt Perino was great as he always was on a Tuesday, and as we're looking forward for the Keon Coleman thing, I'm not moving the goalpost, Andrew. What's kind of changed? It's become very clear that the Bills are banged up at the wide receiver position. Curtis Samuel, again, not practicing today. You're going to probably have to activate Keon Coleman in this game. And Matt Perino pointing to that Miami game before any of this happened that there was things away from the ball he's just not doing. So do we get a Keon Coleman to show up here on Houston, assuming that he is indeed going to be active?
This is Sean McDermott earlier on Keon Coleman and Gabe Davis.
Yeah, right now it's called a day and a half since game day, so I'm aware of how he handled it, publicly, and I appreciate that, respect that, and now it's, again, one day at a time and earning the trust and respect of the teammates, and that takes time. But each day that goes by, you check them off as wins, the trust builds, so that's the important piece of it.
Is there an expectation Gabe would be elevated for Thursday, given how he performed last night?
We'll see. Again, similar to Keon, one day at a time. We'll see how it all comes together come Thursday night.
I have a feeling you're going to see both of them.
Well, Matt brought up a good point, though. Like with Gabe Davis, maybe not. Meaning, okay, you actually played for the first time in how long, and now you're going to go back-to-back? That's how soft tissue things kind of happen. Don't overlook Codrington coming back. Okay, he's back. This is what the Bills do. Like, they know, hey, we have a player that maybe nobody else wants. We're going to put you out there, and now we're going to bring you back. Maybe this is Codrington handling all the punt return, kick return duties. I also think it's interesting, Danger. All of a sudden, the special teams kind of woke up last week. We can't overlook what they did there. Ray Davis specifically, and Matt. I thought, is this just Tampa being bad? Matt pointed to Chris Tabor. You're going to need that again against Houston. You're going to need yards against a stingy defense.
Absolutely. If you missed Matt Perino and our conversation about the Buffalo Bills from today's practice, you can get that wherever you get your shows. Search out the Sports Bar. That includes Apple Podcasts. That includes Spotify. You'll find all of our guest appearances there. Mike Leone from the Amerks head coach, joining us last hour. Michael F. Florio talking some fantasy football a few minutes ago as well. All great conversations you can catch up on in the free-to-download Odyssey app as well. Sean McDermott, 10 seconds on Davis Mills. How many lies?
You know what? I think he's going to talk in circles. Meaning McDermott sometimes does this, like, well, he's a quarterback and he's on that team, and I'm just going to state facts.
Yeah, he's a quarterback that plays for Houston.
And we faced him before, and he's doing some good things. So I'm going to go low here. This isn't going to be the one every 2 seconds.
Could be historic.
It could be, but I'm going to say McDermott is tired. He's going to talk. He's been up all night. He's barely getting any sleep this week. I'm going to put it at 3, Mike Danger. You're taking the over or under on 3?
I'm going over.
Okay. We haven't listened to this.
Sean McDermott earlier today on Texans starting quarterback, Davis Mills.
Good player. He moves their offense. He's mobile, smart, and knows where to go with the ball. And, it looks to me like they're playing well with him under center.
Oh, my gosh, was I wrong?
That's efficient. That is efficient. That is efficient lying. McDermott's DVOA for lying is off the charts with that clip.
Oh my God. Can you play that? You don't need to do the lie detector against it again necessarily, but what?
Yeah, you really don't need the dings because it's just such BS.
Good player. He moves their offense. He's mobile, smart, and knows where to go with the ball. And, it looks to me like they're playing well with him under center.
I mean, he's short of saying he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's really all that's missing.
DeAndre Roberts is a future Hall of Famer one.
That's really all that's missing from that. He's probably in contention for Canton at some point. Davis Mills, yeah. Jeez.
Wait, what you're talking about Houston that struggled to beat a 1-win Tennessee team? That offense you're talking about?
Jeez. Whew, oh boy. Okay. Hey, look, that defense is going to present some issues. It's probably not going to be easy. I think we would all like it to be easy. I think we would like the Bills to show up, be more prepared, be more professional. You have a better quarterback.
Well, this is going to be one of two directions, okay? And you tell me which is the more likely, okay? Do the Bills say, Josh, keep it rolling. Let's run some of these pass concepts. Let's let her rip. Or is this the more likely scenario? If we protect the football and we manage this game and we get James Cook and don't turn the football over and don't turn, I'm afraid that mentality is going to seep in here.
Well, one of the bites you played in your updates today, McDermott talking about wanting to be physical on offense. This is a game where I think you want your offensive line to be physical. You want them to push guys around. Can you push this Texans front four around a little bit and be physical on offense? Because his desire is to run the football. He's going to want to be balanced. He's going to want to protect. He's not going to want to put the ball in harm's way. And they put the ball in harm's way last week against Tampa Bay. It was ugly. There were a couple of ugly turnovers. And you can't have them. Not against a good defense, not against a good opponent. And the Texans are desperate right now. They're fighting for their lives. And they're trying to get through this stretch where they don't have their starting quarterback. You got to handle your business on Thursday night. This cannot be a loss for the Bills. Too much at stake, too much good juju, too much momentum for the rest of the season. If you play this right, based on how they won against Tampa, you play this right, and you get a nice little momentum boost there for the final stretch of the season here in December.
If you were with us this time yesterday, a follow-up to the story, where we took a call from one of our regulars, Chris in South Central Kentucky.
Lovingly call him the Barney of the sports bar, Barney from The Simpsons, because he's like the barfly of the sports bar.
Where he started talking about the Buccaneer game and his affinity, his affection for Baker Mayfield, and if only Josh Allen had the competitiveness of Baker Mayfield. At that time,
Gene lost his mind.
Have you seen me more fly off the handle upset?
That was pretty good. I mean, you've gotten upset at the Bills. I've seen you lose it on the Bills.
Assuming on the Mets.
Yeah, on the Mets, yes.
But to have that take after Josh Allen did something historic.
6 touchdowns.
Historic is a word that gets too often used. You shouldn't use it. No, that was historic. And to talk about his effort, if anything, the guy gives too much and it leads him to mistakes. When he thinks he can do too much, he puts on the cape constantly. And I lost it. Like, how can you be a Bills fan or a Bills supporter, listen to that, and just say the other quarterback, Baker Mayfield, stop? So it kind of stunned Chris.
It led to a suspension.
A suspension. I did not ban him.
No, I thought you were going to.
I was close.
I was waiting for it.
I was close.
Do you ban the most loyal of our listeners, the barfly, the guy?
I couldn't do it.
You don't have the heart to do it.
I couldn't do it. Danger, you sometimes call me a bleeding heart. I carry around the card. You're the bleeding heart liberal of the show.
I didn't call you. You're sympathetic. I get it.
Look. We talked offline.
Oh, you did?
I think everything is fine.
Okay.
Look, in the spirit of, hey, that was a bad sports take, but honestly, they're just sports takes. But I did not ban him from the show. Luke, on the other hand,
banned.
And Luke, I tried to give you the pathway in.
Yeah.
You started off so well, and then you started going, So, Luke, I don't know when Luke can reapply. That's up to you.
I have zero reapplication process in my mind. There is no reapplication. A ban is a ban. You're banned. You're done. You suspended him. Yeah, that means he's back in a week.
Means Monday he can come back in, whether that's online or.
Oh, look! I mean, it isn't lost on me that my mentions are clean this afternoon. Not a lot of mentions from Chris in South Central Kentucky.
He
understands the punishment, and the suspension is real. I mean, I'm seeing Greg. I'm seeing Peter. I'm seeing Steve and Victor. I'm seeing a lot of our regulars engaging on X. No, Chris in South Central. He's taken his punishment, which I appreciate. I appreciate a man who can accept his punishment and come back stronger on the other side. Maybe he goes from being the barfly of the sports bar to the Andy Dufresne of the sports bar, a reference you wouldn't understand because you've never watched Shawshank Redemption.
I'll add it to the list.
Maybe he comes out clean on the other side of a mile of S.
For our listeners, I think it's important every once in a while to say, hey, I'm watching this. This is really good. But I just do this sometimes to needle danger, just so everybody knows. So for everybody else, this next show, The Beast in Me, oh my gosh, it's evil. It's really well written.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of it.
Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, and Danger's like, oh, God.
Too much content.
Too much content.
It's my problem. This is too much. And it gets built up to the point where I know if I watch it, it's not going to live up to the hype. I don't want to be disappointed. So I'm very selective. I've only got a handful of shows that are on my list. I'll tell you I'm going to add it to the list. There is no list.
Like Severance. Like, hey, Severance is really good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great. I'll never know.
Your daughter watched it.
She started to watch it.
Oh, she punted?
Yeah, she punted. She was watching it with my mother-in-law. They have a routine. They get together every Wednesday night. They watch a show or they watch a movie. Oh, how about this? She goes last Wednesday, and they watch the movie Ghost for the first time. My daughter had never seen Ghost. You remember the Ghost movie from the mid-'90s, right?
True or false? Peak Demi Moore.
Wait, hold on a second. That would have been 1990. I would say
That's peak Demi Moore, because by the time she's doing the striptease thing, it's like, no. Then she's with Bruce Willis at that point.
I mean, we're dating ourselves big time here. Well, big portion of our audience has no idea who Demi Moore even is. About Last Night.
Oh.
I mean, kind of loved About Last Night. Movie set in Chicago, and yeah, pretty good.
But Ghost, like you and I were like, okay, that's an iconic early 90s movie, right?
I want to say 1990 or 1991.
Right.
And so I was still in high school, and I remember going to that movie and thinking, wow, that really was emotional. That really, what a love story, right? My daughter watches it with my mother-in-law. She comes home and tells Sandy, she tells my wife, and by the way, this Ghost is like Sandy's one of her all-time favorite movies. Like, it just stuck with her. She loves it. Rewatchability, loves it. My daughter comes home and she's like, that was hilarious. I'm like, what? She thought the movie Ghost was like a comedy. She thought it was hilarious. Now, in retrospect, we had to watch it again. So we watched it on Friday night. And I always say this is like one of my dangerisms. People don't know what they like, but they like what they know, which kind of goes to what I'm saying when you say, hey, here's a new show and it's really good. You should try it out. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stick to the classics. I'm going to stick to what I know, and I'm going to, enjoy the things that I'm familiar with, that I know, or that I have a good sense that I will like. When The Bear was set in Chicago, I'm like, I'm going to watch The Bear because I know I'm going to like that show just based on what I heard. But I get hyped on so many things that my radar is always up, and I always default to what I know. And so my wife and I watched it on Friday night because we had to see, is it funny? Is Ghost a comedy?
Well, from what I remember, Whoopi Goldberg was great in it. I remember there's some
Did
things.
She won an Academy Award for that.
She
was nominated?
Yeah, she was nominated. But if you're taking it, was it from the standpoint of, oh my gosh, these effects are so bad and this is so cheesy.
Well, that doesn't hold up, and I'm sure she was laughing at that. But for her to say it was funny, I was kind of like, oh, maybe it is funny. Let's watch it again. And we got a couple of chuckles, but still pulled at the heartstring. I'm not completely dead inside, man. You
big softy.
Yeah, ditto.
Big softy.
Yeah, ditto. I mean, when I heard ditto, I'm like, oh, that's good. That's good. That's taking me right back to high school. 1990. We got to get to a round of shots. We're late.
You big softy.
Totally.
Shots in the sports bar. Hey, we are allowed to talk some Sabres hockey, I suppose. Baseball writer, it's your time to shine. And, Lane Kiffin inserting himself into the news cycle here as well.
We'll get to that and more next. Last call is on the way. You can have the final word in the sports bar at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger. 950 The Fan, Rochester. This is your daily fix of real sports talk. From Maggie and Perloff in the morning to the sports bar in the afternoon. Takes that hit different. The Fan, Rochester. The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is out against the Bills. It'll be Davis Mills getting the start this coming Thursday night. Sean McDermott says physicality for his team is key.
Yeah, it's big. They got some guys that have that are big in stature and yet have twitch to them, and really at all three levels of their defense. So it's both corners are really good, and their safety play is excellent as well. And so the front and the back end are working together.
Bills bringing back punt returner Brandon Codrington to the practice squad today. Our coverage Thursday will begin at 4 o'clock here on The Fan. RIT hockey tonight. They've won 9 in a row, the men playing at Niagara. The Amherst, they won 2 in a row over the weekend in Connecticut. They're at Lehigh Valley tomorrow night. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Listen to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. The Fan, Rochester.
Happy Hour continues on The Fan. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia every day at this time. We pick up what we may have missed with a round of shots.
Danger, a lot of people have an opinion on what happened during Monday Night Raw. We don't talk a lot wrestling here on the show.
You know what's funny, though? Before you talk about this story, ever since ESPN invested in wrestling, you're hearing ESPN talk more
of course.
Wrestling. And this goes beyond what you're about to talk about. Like, they will use their platform as a promotional vehicle, as any business would, to promote their holdings, the things that they're invested in. And right now, wrestling is one of those properties.
Yeah, so this was John Cena's final Monday Night Raw appearance, and they're sitting ringside. Cam Scattaboo, the giant running back, and then he's with a comedian named Andrew Schultz, and they get into a shoving match with the Judgment Day faction during the show. And, no one's getting hurt, but this is, made for show a little bit. Scattaboo taking heat on this, like people wondering, like, wait a second.
Yeah.
You just suffered this major lower body injury. Is this how you should be rehabbing? The rookie firing back today on X, quote, honestly, if you don't like that I'm having a good time while dealing with a tough time, then just go ahead and unfollow and casually move on Night of Football and have the fun I've been having my whole life, so I'm able to do things outside the box, trying to find stuff to keep me happy. And he goes on there.
I love it. I have no problem with it. He's getting criticized because Giant fans see that as a bad look. It's the optics aren't good. Like, why aren't you rehabbing? What if you got hurt at a wrestling, ringside scrum? Like, nobody's getting hurt. This is all
you're good enough to do that, and you can't be back on the field.
Oh,
here?
please,
Yeah.
I mean, like, the guy's ankle was pointing in the wrong direction. His foot was pointing. It's not supposed to look that way. He's going to be fine. I don't have a problem with him doing it. In fact, I get it. Like, I imagine he's probably always been a fan of wrestling, and to have the opportunity at Madison Square Garden, of all places, to be a part of the show. Hell yeah, he's going to want to be a part of the show.
Also, if you're a Giant fan, you have a star. The kid is a star.
Oh, sure.
The way he plays, he'll be back and healthy next year.
Well, enjoy it, because the way he plays does not lend himself to a long career. The way he plays lends himself to multiple concussions and CTE, unfortunately. Hopefully that changes with some leadership in there that can kind of get him to modify his style a little bit. Some self-preservation might do him good and might do the organization good. But between Dart, Scattaboo, Neighbors, what you have on defense, I mean, you could say what you want about Joe Shane, Brian Daboll. I mean, Joe Shane, I think, has done enough as far as getting pieces. It's a competent roster. Maybe the line needs a little bit of work.
Noah Osland scored twice. Colton Ellis made 32 saves. The Sabres opened a 4-game homestand. 5-1 over Edmonton. Head coach Lindy Ruff said it was his team's best game of the season, and now help is on the way, too. Josh Norris, Jason Zucker skating for the first time since going on IR. Norris has been out since the season opener. Zucker missed his 7th game in a row because he was sick. Calgary dead last in the NHL standings. Wait a second. Here's a team that's worse than us. They're coming to town tomorrow night.
Okay. Good for the Sabres. Glad that they were able to get the win over Edmonton. And if coach says that that's their best game of the season, maybe it's something they can build off of, get a little momentum, beat Calgary. I need to see it.
I just watched that last night. I'm thinking, boy, Buffalo Sabres are to the Miami Dolphins as Edmonton was to the Buffalo Bills.
Sure.
They just did not care. Their goalie, whatever. At that point.
Skinner, yeah.
Yeah. The NBA has issued a warning but no fine to Golden State Warrior Draymond Green. This for his interaction with a vocal fan. This happened in New Orleans Sunday night. What did the fan say to set Green off? Was it something inappropriate? Was it something racial? Was it like things we cannot accept? The fan called Green Angel Reese. Draymond didn't take too kindly of it. He was asked about it. Quote, I've got 4 kids, 1 on the way. You can't keep calling me a woman. Danger, if you're watching the...
It's a great dig. I can't help it, man. I don't know. It's a great dig. I mean, if you want to get under a guy's skin in the NBA, you call him Angel Reese. Oh, my God.
Well, somebody actually caught up with the fan afterward. His last name was also Green. And the fan just said, hey... He's playing like Angel Reese, meaning he's grabbing his own me bounce.
Yeah, the me bounce.
So you know what's going to happen now. Wherever Golden State goes on the road, you're not crossing a line, Danger. You can say, hey, Angel
Reese.
Reese.
Not for anything other than his play is similar to hers.
Yes. But obviously Draymond taking it.
Yeah. But you can't acknowledge it. The fact that he acknowledged it now, it's open season.
No, it's
Draymond.
open. Draymond, you can't keep calling me a woman. Oh, congratulations, Draymond.
Like Angel Reese. Oh, that's good. I kind of miss the WNBA.
Yeah.
I don't know who won, but I'm excited for it to start up again, just so we can do the me bound counter and see.
Was it Vegas? I should know this. I
think
totally
Vegas
forgot.
won.
Yeah,
Vegas did win. Vegas is a juggernaut. They can't be stopped.
Lane Kiffin says this is not true, this report.
Sure.
Yeah, Ole Miss, according to this report, is giving the ultimatum. Either, Lane, you are staying or you're leaving, but you need to tell us before the upcoming Egg Bowl. The Egg Bowl is the game against Mississippi State on Thanksgiving weekend. Both LSU and Florida, this according to The Athletic, sent private planes to fly Kiffin's family to their schools over the weekend.
Yeah.
Now, Kiffin reportedly wasn't on the trips, but his ex-wife was. She was, and again, they've reconciled. I guess they get along well. Reportedly, she was touring Baton Rouge over the weekend.
Okay, so she's traveling with the kids and
looking at schools and homes or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going through the same thing, actually. But both LSU and Florida sent private planes to my house as well, and my daughter's considering a future down south.
Oh, I thought maybe you were talking about like moving to do radio in Gainesville or
Not
whatever.
yet, no. But yeah, that's I can totally relate with what Lane Kiffin is going through here. The courting and the private planes. I mean, this is what life is for a college student now. You want my business. You want me to be associated with your program, that you're going to have to come after us hard.
Well, so it's a negotiation. So what do we need in the negotiation? Well,
a deadline.
So
you have
basically what Ole Miss has said, this is the deadline. And it would be so Lane Kiffin like to say, no, I'm staying. And then he would bolt. Did you not see what he did to Tennessee?
Yeah. You can't trust this guy.
No.
Not trustworthy whatsoever.
No,
just okay as a coach. I wouldn't put him anywhere near like elite. He's not. What has he won? Ever.
This is far and away his best year, and now you can't wait 2 seconds before trying to cash in.
Yeah, the guy's something else.
It was like if he were really like, doesn't it get to a point where like I'm gonna stay here and win here and develop a legacy here? Oh, what am I kidding? That's silly talk.
He's had the opportunity to create legacy. He's not about that.
No.
He's chasing a paycheck.
Finally, baseball writer, it is your time to shine.
I've been waiting a long time. Maybe if you had a heart or if you're a good person, you would let it go. But, keep bringing up baseball writer, and I'm here to talk about Arson Judge. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
Well, you're going to be very busy with all the free agency news and the hot stove and everything else.
I like Clay Hamels.
By the way, the executive producer, she thinks that's like the dumbest cliche in sport. The hot stove. She makes fun of me, oh, we were hot stove.
I don't know what the origin of hot stove is, but maybe if the executive producer was a good person or if she was kind, she would let it go. This is what we do. This is our tradition.
Well, it's actually
we've marked time with the hot stove.
This is a baseball writer thing. Like, you're going to talk about rumors and what my team should do here in the winter, and supposedly baseball fans will get around a hot stove and talk about baseball.
Instead of talking about the water cooler, and you talk about a hot stove. I understand. Speaking of hot, and a hot burrito bowl earlier today.
All right, so whether I'm talking to Danger or baseball writer, stop me. Tell me if any of these
I'm a big fan of Ryan Broom.
Ryan Braun.
Right. If you're a nice person, maybe you'd let it go.
Stop me if any of these other names interest you.
Okay.
Cole Hamels, Matt Kemp, Howie Kendrick, Daniel Murphy, Rick Porcello, Shin-Soo Choo, Edwin Encarnacion. What do we even do with these names? Gio Gonzalez, Alex Gordon, Nick Markakis, and Hunter Pence.
Hunter Pence. Big fan of Hunter Pence. I don't know about any of those other guys, but Hunter Pence eats his submarine sandwiches sideways. I had lunch with him once. Didn't sit well with me.
Baseball writer, will you vote for any of these guys based on the fact that they were nice to you and gave you quotes, based on the fact that you find them handsome?
I don't know why you would insinuate that. I know you don't have any journalistic integrity whatsoever,
do their agents pay you to push to vote?
Ron Porcello once paid me with a sub from Jersey Mike's, and I had that sub with Hunter Pence. He ate it sideways. But Shin-Soo Choo is good, and I'm a big fan of Edward Encarnacion, and Arson Judge obviously is on the top of the list. I'm a big fan of his as well.
You didn't really answer my question. Can your vote be bought, baseball writer?
No,
You mean do?
Excuse me, I got one bubbling.
Carlos Beltran, of all the holdover candidates, the most likely to get in. Also, Andrew Jones, the former Braves outfielder.
Can I break out of character? I really. So these are the names that are eligible for
like, what
the
are we
Hall of
even
Fame.
doing? This is like a pile of garbage.
Yeah, this is not a great
It's
list.
like you just get on the ballot because you were in the league for so many years.
Hunter Pence being on the ballot is outstanding.
I would love to get a ballot, and this just as a goof, like vote them all in. Great, perfect. Matt Kemp, who finished his career with Syracuse, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I don't know about that list. Not really inspiring whatsoever.
If you're saying Cole Hamels, you're stretching it.
Cole Hamels?
Yeah, not great. Good player, but not Hall of Fame.
Hunter Pence can't parallel park. I don't know how he's getting in the Hall of Fame.
Hunter Pence eats pizza with a fork and knife.
Oh, the Hunter Pence signs. What a great time to be a Major League Baseball fan. We miss it.
Maybe Draymond Green should get some Hunter Pence fan treatment.
Hunter Pence lathers, rinses, does not repeat. That's Hunter Pence. Fun show this afternoon. We're back again with a new episode tomorrow afternoon starting at 3. Wednesday, PJ Glasser from Send It In on the BetMGM Network stops by at 3:25. And the pride of Victor, former Blue Devil, Seth Payne, now hosting mornings at Sports Radio 610 in Houston. Give us a little preview of Bills, Texans from the heart of Texas.
Short week, so we're going to make it count tomorrow here.
That's right. If you missed any of today's show, you can use the Odyssey app. You can go to our YouTube channel, Fan Rochester, go back and watch any part you may have missed. Find a podcast wherever you get your shows. That includes Apple Podcasts and Spotify. JR Sport Brief next on the Fan Rochester. Have a great night.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with